Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
This country can't be knocked out with one punch. We get right back up again, and when we do, the world's going to hear the roar of our engines.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
You do your work, and we will do our bit.
Republic. I like the sound of it. It means people can live free, talk free, go or come, buy or sell, be drunk or sober, however they choose.
Are you ready to be who you are?
No poetry, just a straight answer.
The government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false statements and expressions of hope for continued peace.
We are men of the hood, netting now at your expense.
But there's no both sides anymore. They're just trying to wreck our goddamn country. It's time for you younger guys to take over.
Men be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
If you guys don't start thinking as men, we're gonna have a lousy country.
For the crimes of incitement to cause unrest, I declare to be an outlaw!
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network for the 29th of January, 2023. Thanks for checking out the show. Look, ladies and gentlemen, to my left, after a several week, what felt like, well, about 15 minutes sabbatical, it is St. Paul, the voice of reason. Hello, Pollywog.
My seat is cold. It's almost as if you didn't fill it while I was gone.
I
don't know if I should laugh or cry or be disappointed or upset.
Well, no, listen. Tom and I had a lot of... can we pull the curtains back a little bit, Tom? Would that be okay with you?
Sure.
Well, you were gone, Paul. Thank you. While you were gone,
yes,
Tom and I had many conversations.
I heard some of them were about me. We had listeners that texted me out of the blue.
I mean, off air, we would talk, and the conversation would be like, Tom, how do you think we can handle the Paul not being here? Tom, how do we even fill his shoes? And I said, well, let's just mock him. And Tom was like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was good.
Yep.
No, I'm glad you're back, though. I'm glad you're back. I know the listening public is glad you've returned, and welcome back to the show, my friend.
Couple in particular. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Oh, yes. Coming up at 8:30, we're going to get in the mailbag. It'll be mail time because we...
Versus female time.
I'm going to play it. We got some mail from a listener who is not impressed with this show or me or Paul specifically. We will read her comments verbatim. We're going to read them verbatim and then we'll discuss. In the meantime, let me do the round table. So St. Paul here, to his left, Black Tom.
Greetings.
What's up, buddy? Isaac is back in studio for the second show in a row.
Isaac,
if you keep this up, we're going to have to...
Captain Silverback.
Oh, that's right. Captain Silverback is back in studio for the second show in a while.
He'll be starting his new show, Turd Talk, with Captain Silverback soon.
Turd Talk. That's some compelling radio, Dennis.
I'm not sure how to take that. It's like I've been gone at school for 2 weeks. Come back, we have a new show called Turd Talk.
I bet the ratings are going to be crappy, though. Let's be honest. Sorry.
As long as they don't take a dump.
Get that dump button ready. All right.
Is Amber Heard our first guest?
Touche. And the first deuce of the night.
But we do have Johnny Depp. So,
by the way, is it bad that every time I watched Amber Heard during that trial, I was like, God, she's hot, and then she'd open her mouth, God, she's nuts. The CEO,
kind of like Monica Lewinsky, huh?
Yes, and Tanya Harding,
and her secret dress drawer,
and Tanya Harding. Tanya Harding's a bit of a whack job. Kaylee Anthony. There's a long list. Lorena Bobbitt.
Lorena Bobbitt wasn't hot though.
I don't know. Was she? I got to go see a picture.
She was the queen of wackadoodle. I don't care about the aesthetics.
Literally, she whacked a doodle.
Yeah, she wasn't.
That's fair.
No, she whacked a noodle. Get it right.
Whack
right.
something.
So the CEO, Lori, is here. She's actually multitasking. You will not understand what she's doing. I won't tell you.
Can I say this? You just used a word that I learned something. Yes. Did you know? And I loved this being in class for the last 2 weeks. This was the most amazing thing I've ever learned, because what it means is every woman I've ever married, ever dated was wrong, because apparently you cannot multitask. It is not.
Men cannot multitask.
No, nobody can multitask. You can't do it. It's not physically possible, because if I tell you, I don't know, you talked about a new radio show and I said to you a turd is brown, no matter how hard you tried, you actually pictured a brown turd.
Most women can give birth and defecate at the same time. You're welcome.
But that's it. But that's involuntary. Okay.
Again, this is not Turd
Not
Talk.
for me, it wasn't.
Welcome back to Turd Talk.
I didn't defecate when I gave birth.
Remember, Turd Talk is brought to you by the Michelle Caldeer campaign, reminding you that if you want to see crappy politicians do crappy things in office, pay attention to Michelle Caldeer. The crap starts here. All right.
Wow.
Anyway,
Damn.
Lori and Boss Baby are here. Sorry, Wife Baby, Boss Wifey, Wife Bossy, whatever your name is.
Wife Boss.
Wife Boss. Wife Boss. Undercover Wife Boss. And DJD is behind the boards doing what he does so well. So we have a full show. We got the full house in studio. Again, if you're looking for Debbie, she moved to Nebraska to fulfill her life's love of corn.
I think this is important to note.
Mm-hmm.
The rumors are true. I took 2 weeks off after I fired Trojo. I kicked Debbie to the curb. Who else was there? Was some, and basically
Woody.
And Woody. And what it came down to was it was very simple. I didn't like Trojo's perspective. Debbie was an open bisexual. Couldn't have that on air. That got old quick. And well, Woody was a moderate Democrat. So look, you either think like me or you hit the road. It's that
you said Woody was a moderate Democrat? Don't lie. She was uber far left progressive
Kevin
Democrat.
It was a joke.
I don't think it was. I think you messed up.
I think you were going easy.
That was the point. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. You lose the delivery.
Clearly, Paul came back a kinder, gentler Paul.
Yes, he's
all right,
much
I'll say
nicer.
it. Jeremy was a Dallas Cowboys fan. F that. I got tired of listening to him talk about the Cowboys.
By the way,
and how many rings he'd lost.
Did you guys notice that Trojo quit the show right before the Cowboys got blown out in the playoffs again? It's almost like he saw it coming. It's almost like he was like, I need to get out of there before they choke, because I know they're going to choke because it's the Cowboys after all.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I should have quit before the playoff season came in.
No, listen. Oh, I'm not knocking your team when I say this, but not a lot of people expect every year for the Chargers to be contenders, right? I mean, you guys ebb and flow like most teams. Most teams have some good years and some bad years, and people accept that. Dallas Cowboy fans, their team could have been 2-15 last year, and Dallas Cowboy idiot fans are going to be like, this is our year.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're a different breed of psychopath.
But the Chargers do kind of like almost own the rights to the nickname the Chokers.
The Chargers?
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Just
That's
remember.
brutal.
It is. And remember, we're the ones that drafted Brian Leaf.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Okay, well, that's true.
Leafing it is a thing.
Yes.
Coming up. So
It definitely is.
Yeah, I want
We
to
need
give
to
you
talk
guys,
to the guys at Leaf Guard.
that should have been the new stadium sponsorship.
Leaf Guard.
Leaf Guard.
The year they waived Ryan Leaf and kicked him off the team. And the stadium sponsored by Leaf Guard.
And in the commercial, they would have been, just leave me alone.
And Ryan Leaf is the gift that keeps on giving, because every couple of years he has a major like fall off the wagon moment where he's in Vegas with strippers and hookers and gets
Just
arrested.
like Kevin.
No. I do not believe in strippers and or hookers. I believe they are all severe wastes of money.
You don't believe in them? Well, they're
No, I
real, dude. You go to Vegas all the time. How could you not believe in them?
First of all, let me answer that question.
Okay.
I have never seen a stripper in Vegas because the strippers.
You just haven't went looking.
No, you've
No,
never
that's true.
seen a working stripper.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure I passed a bunch of them on the strip.
Yeah.
I've never seen a stripper in Vegas, and I've never seen a hooker in Vegas, as in where they're actively saying that they're a hooker. Okay,
They're
now
actively hooking.
I have a friend named. Hold on. I have a friend who has the same first name as somebody in this studio, but is not him, Paul, and who not only found a hooker in Vegas when they went down to Vegas with
But
me a
Kevin
couple of
was
years
with
ago.
him.
No, I was not with him when he met her, and I was not with him when he took her to the hotel room. Nor was I with him when they met up a couple hours later after she'd seen a couple of other clients and went back to his hotel room again for free. I don't know how any of that stuff works. But
That's gross.
more power to you. You really put a dent in that vagina. All right.
You really? No, it's
Paul
like
gets a joke too, don't you, Paul? You know why I said that, don't you, Paul?
he put a dent in somebody else's leftovers.
That's one way to look at it. Dennis, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I went to Hell's Kitchen and they had the stuff they threw in the dumpster.
Oh,
okay.
God. By the way, if you're offended already at this show, remember, and you're listening to KBRO. All right. So at 8:30, we're going to get into some listener mail. At 9 o'clock, we're going to do some national stuff. And I think we would be remiss if we did not talk about what happened in Ohio.
No,
Ohio?
Atlanta.
Oh, sorry, Atlanta. Was it Atlanta?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Atlanta. Okay.
Are you talking about
Memphis?
Memphis.
Memphis. Thank you.
five-
Memphis is in neither of those places.
I was gonna say, what's the topic? I actually am current on this most recent.
You've heard about the Memphis thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen the video.
Travis, you just walked into another day.
What happened in
Outlaw Radio
Memphis?
Network.
Lisa Marie Presley died.
No,
what
that's
happened.
not what we're talking about. No, there.
She was walking in Memphis once.
And now she's not.
Damn.
Now she's being carried by 6 men in Memphis. All right, so we'll talk about the events in Memphis. We're going to break the whole thing down. I think that we are all going to have different varying degrees of input on that conversation. And so what we're going to do at the top of next hour is we're going to open with the facts as we know them. I will say up front, I have not watched the video, and I refuse to watch the video because, from what I've heard, it's sickening.
It's bad,
and I'm sensitive, and I don't want to watch it because I'm a snowflake.
First of all, there is nothing sensitive about you, and everybody who knows you can agree with that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. And I say this because you're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for.
I am the idea of watching 5 police officers beat a man to death who's already cuffed.
It's not good.
No,
listen, there's a lot more to the story than that.
No, I know there is.
I don't mean more than just the raw fundamental 5 men beat a man to death.
Mm-hmm.
I just mean that there's a lot more nuance to the story.
Oh yeah,
and is this what we're opening with? I just want to make sure.
I'm setting up. That's going to be in the national hour.
Okay.
We get into national stuff at 9.
Okay, I'm going to get into so much trouble.
All kinds of stuff. Travis Couture's in the chat. Hello, Travis. It's good to see you. I'd like for you to come on the show again when I'm here because I have questions for you. All good questions, but we just haven't talked to you since you guys talked to him. But I didn't. I didn't talk to him. I like Travis. I'm glad Travis is there. I'm not going to make a comment. Never mind. I was going to be funny, but I don't want to put Travis.
This is just one thing that I've noticed that's kind of funny, right? So you leave Tom and the ladies, they host the show for one night, or maybe I should say the ladies and Tom, they host the show for one night, boy, and you come back and they just bust in your bowls. It's like,
oh, I know.
It's like you suck, Kevin. We rock.
No, did you miss the show in the time you were gone? They did this every single night that you were not here.
Did they really?
Oh God, yes.
No, because unfortunately, by the time 5 hours of commute time every day and 8 hours in class,
That's a ridiculous commute, by the way.
yeah, it was, and I was
But did you
literally
like
exhausted.
it? Did you like it?
Did I like them busting your balls?
No,
I'm not into that.
Did you like your training, the stuff you learned? Did you like the experience? Was it? Do you want to let the listeners know what you're doing and how they can partake of your unique skills? You're like Liam Neeson in Taken. You have a unique set of skills.
Okay. I guess you could. That's a fair point, Kevin. I took a position. I've been a general contractor for years and years and years, and been in the home improvement industry for over 20 years. So I parlayed that into something that wouldn't beat my body up so bad, and took a design consultant position with the #1 bathroom remodeling company in the nation, called Rebath, who is just now expanding their footprint into Kitsap County. And so I go into a home and inspect the bathroom, and as strange as that sounds, and design a new one.
Outstanding.
So, bathrooms with lifetime warranties. So it's top shelf, high quality stuff.
Okay.
We're definitely not the cheapest.
So
lifetime warranty. Lori's like, lifetime?
I have
Yes,
actually
lifetime.
gotten a hold of a video because I know that you did some work this weekend.
You didn't.
I did. I got a hold.
Oh, no.
So I got a hold of a video.
You told me that was not a microphone.
It was a microphone. Paul went out to do some in-home demo stuff.
This is what I get. I called Kevin. I said, do me a favor. I got to really practice this stuff. And he said, okay, come on over.
Okay. So is my laptop hot, Dennis?
Stuff.
I don't.
And he said, okay, come on over.
Oh, hold on.
Okay,
Mute me
so
again. Mute me
is
again.
my
Mute me-
laptop-
Make me again. Hold on. Why are we getting sound? Because I didn't mute that. Because
It's
I'm an idiot. All right. I don't think there's any bad words in this. I didn't think you swore. So hopefully the dump button's ready. Here we go.
I don't ever swear. Smart people swear.
So this is
That's not me.
actual audio recording of Paul trying to sell somebody on a bathroom remodel. Dennis, we ready? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh, hold on. I muted my laptop.
Kevin is just having a
All right, here we go.
The wrong mute button.
Remember, you must be smarter than the toys you're playing with. Here we go.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're
Bathroom.
looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
You
If
will
let my
buy,
daughter
or I'll
go
never
now,
leave your
that'll
home.
be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
So there you go. That is Paul's delivery to potential clients for the bathroom remodel.
Oh,
God bless you, Kevin. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind of
I
you.
did have the delay active, but yeah.
Just
Okay,
in case.
thank you for that.
I turned it back off.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. See, Dennis is covering our butts already.
That's right.
Only 22 minutes into the show, and Dennis is already covering our backside.
That's right.
Listen, I'm excited for you, and I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great.
It's a wonderful opportunity with a literally top tier company. Do you guys install bidets? Nope.
You don't?
Nope.
Yeah.
We do in the box bathrooms, right? So we don't push out the walls or anything like that. We will move drains, we'll move electrical. So usually I've got about a 7-person crew that goes out to do, and they finish a job at a complete bathroom remodel.
But they can't do bidets.
No.
Aren't bidets just an attachment to an existing toilet?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But you don't do bidets.
You can buy a whole bidet system, or you can buy one that attaches to your toilet seat, and then you have to hardwire it in your bathroom. So you have an electrician come in, and then you because it'll
You ever used
heat
a
up
bidet
for you.
before?
No.
No, Tom, have you ever used a bidet before?
Absolutely.
Have you?
Yeah.
Are you a fan?
I hear they're a dream come
Absolutely.
true.
They're heavenly.
So when we did our family road trip, and again, we're gonna get to some topics at 8:30 when we get in our mailbag. When we did our cross country family trip last year, we stopped at a truck stop in South Dakota, right? So you always envision these truckers as these big, burly, rough guys, all that.
Now I picture them as Debbie.
And we stopped.
What? She's down there. She's like, so I'm not going to say she's working the truck stops. We love you, Debbie. I'm just giving you grief.
Oh, so we stop at a truck stop, and I have to use the restroom, and they have bidets in the restroom, and I just cannot imagine that a whole bunch of truckers are like, "Hey, where can I get my bidet?" I'm not. I don't. I just it doesn't fit the trucker preconceived notions I have about truckers.
You have some weird preconceived notions, dude. It is every time you talk about your perceptions of person, places, things, ideas, something usually odd like comes out.
Yeah. I'm an odd cat, man.
It makes me wonder.
I'm a weird dingo.
Well, it makes me I mean, mental stability has definitely crossed my mind, but that's okay.
A dingo ate my baby.
A dingo ate my baby. I can't say much. My dogs are technically half dingo, so you never know. Anyway. Oh my God. Okay. So are we
Dennis, would you please make my laptop hot again? Remember what Paul said.
No.
And I will kill you.
Anyway, so all right. Anything else interesting going on in the world?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on interesting in the world, right?
We only have 5 minutes for the break,
Yeah.
so I don't want to get into a topic yet.
And I know you wanted to save the conversation last week about Ukraine. Did you guys hear that the helicopter that transports Putin all over Russia crashed on Friday?
He wasn't in it, was he?
Was he in it?
They did not. They have not announced that. I do not believe that he was. But they wouldn't release any information or data about it, and I found that very interesting because what I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried to off him, and But I mean, who knows? We'll never know. But when the considering the things that this guy has done and the situation and condition that his country is in, I wouldn't put anything past people in Russia right now.
How soon do you think it would take for them to release that he was dead if he was? I mean, do you think it'd be pretty immediate, or do you think that they would try to cover it?
6, 1, half a dozen. It depends on who was taking over, I think.
Okay.
Because if the person that was taking over said, okay, that's it, no more war in Ukraine, they'd be pretty fast to release that information. If the person who took over is worse and has bigger and broader plans, I think they would find a way to keep it secret for a while and step up their plans because they would want to keep the country somewhat under control. So, I mean, he's treated like a demigod there, man. He's like Obama in the sense that he's got people worshiping the ground he walks on. So, I don't think it would do any good for them to release that he had been killed in a helicopter crash until they were really ready.
Okay.
But I don't. Now, I did read a story this weekend. There have been rumors a long time going around that Putin has body doubles. People are running facial comparisons and other stuff, and they're like, this isn't him. This is a body double. And a picture was released this weekend of him wearing high heels. Go ahead. Yeah, no joke.
Really?
Well, it was boots like Dockers or something, or Doc
Martens.
Martens, but it was a high heeled shoe. So
Well, most leaders do have a body double. Like all of our presidents have had at least one.
yeah.
Well, Biden-
Donald Trump couldn't. They couldn't find anybody with a hairdo.
But I mean, like Barack Obama
Yeah.
had 2 or 3 just because the threats against him were
Hold on,
so
do you guys
intense.
really-
Biden,
you guys really
Biden
think
has a
that
body
that's-
double, Wilford Brimley, but go ahead.
Wilford Brimley's dead.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So do you guys really? I don't have any evidence one way or another on this. I'm just curious. Do you guys really feel that Barack Obama had body doubles?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no opinion on it.
I don't have enough tinfoil.
Huh?
He had a couple.
I don't have enough tinfoil for that. Hold on. We'll come back after this with we'll dip into the mailbag on Outlaw Radio. Stick around.
Oh,
We'll
we're
be back after
dipping.
this.
When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Okay, Paul, unless you intend to do that song at the next karaoke night we go to, don't ever do that again.
Didn't like that, Dennis? Okay.
Hey, can I share something I'm really sad about?
Yeah, like that'd be like me singing a Queen song going, how'd you like it?
Can I share something I'm really sad
Wop,
about?
baby, wop. Okay.
Annie Wershing is an actress. She passed away this week. I don't know if you guys knew who Annie Wershing was. She was in 24. She played Renee Walker, who was a love interest of Kiefer Sutherland's character.
Are you literally wearing tinfoil?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So she was on that show. She was also, if you've watched any of The Rookie, which is a great show on ABC. I love it. It's got Nathan Fillion in it, but she was the bad psychopathic girl in there. But she passed away for cancer, and I don't usually get all wrapped up when celebrities die, because let's be honest, a celebrity death is no different than a normal person death, other than the fact that they've got a whole bunch of credits on IMDb and I only have one, and you shouldn't rent that porn. I loved her as an actress. She didn't get a lot of props. She wasn't a big name actress. She had a lot of small roles and supporting roles in shows and stuff, but she was just really good. It was sad. I was disappointed. So,
and I mean, can I just? I mean, we all die, bro.
No, I know, but it doesn't.
I don't
change the fact that
I don't understand why celebrities, people gush over them when they pass. I mean, no matter what happens, no matter how we live our lives, we're all going to die alone.
I have a good response to that.
Yes, go ahead.
Because those are the people that inspire and uplift and motivate the regular people in the world to try and do bigger and better things.
I think Dennis has a really good point.
And when you start realizing that even from a childhood, for me, we'll look at Evel Knievel, things like that. When your heroes and legends start dying, it brings up your own humanity and mortality. So,
and I think the other part of it is, in a weird one-way relationship, we feel like we start to get to know them a little bit.
Exactly.
Like we see them in interviews, we see them in their roles. We feel like in some
30
way
seconds.
we start to get an idea who they are as people. And I agree with Dennis. I think it questions your own mortality. So we're going to get into the mailbox next. So stick around. It's Outlaw Radio on Megatalk.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to my friends on the Outlaw Radio Network.
Brandy Cruz loves us. You should too.
Whoa, dude.
Outlaw Radio. Thanks for checking out the show. We have an intro. For this segment. Dennis, will you make my laptop hot, please?
Like Kevin's face, there's not a lot you can do to make it hot.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to hell.
You, and I will kill you.
Okay, I just wanted to play that again.
I was like, that's your intro?
Here we go, intro time.
Yep, come on. Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Sounds like he's farting there.
All right, there we go. There's mail time.
This is not or has nothing to do with the show Blues Clues.
No, I love Blues Clues, man. Do you want me to read it?
Me become a
or do you want to read it?
Actually, though, Kevin, you do the best Blues Clues bark ever. Yeah, you could have been hired by them.
Oh my gosh.
You have the whole stick down and the tone. Your tone is perfect.
I know, it's perfect.
Kevin.
Remember when Magenta was coming over to visit?
Kevin, your tinfoil hat is catching attention.
Oh, is it? Hold on. Is there comments in the chat about the tinfoil hat?
I think we just need to shape it to your ball cap. That way you can just
No,
come in
I
every
want it to
week
be
and put it on
glaringly
your...
obvious. I want it to be glaring.
It will be glaring obvious.
And
the
it's
last person I saw with a tinfoil ball cap was Marty McFly.
And for the record, it's not just tinfoil. I'm also trying to grow hair. Okay. Do you want to read it or should I?
Yeah, no, I'll listen, let me start by saying I think that there is nothing better in the world of radio than people that are critical of us, of the show, of things we say.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we're getting them engaged in the conversation. I would like to point out the complete cowardice, however, of people that will send those messages to engage in that conversation when they absolutely, without a doubt, know that nobody will see it. In other words, days after the show in the live chat. Okay. So here's the point, folks. When the show's not live and you write some scathing message to all of us, you're literally a coward when you put it in the chat days after the show is over. Okay. I just want to make sure I get that clear, because that's like somebody running up and kicking the bottom of your feet or your ass while you're laying down and then running off and you're like still sound asleep and snoring and they're going, I kicked Kevin's ass. You know, I mean, it's just like, what kind of bloviating moron would do something like that?
Wow.
It's just, the
I
moron
promised-
was wrong. I thought
I
used it in the right
promised
way.
I was not going to call names tonight. So
I never made that promise. Okay, so
let's read them. You want me to? I'm going to read it. You want to read it? You want to read it?
Paul's gonna read it.
You're gonna read it.
It's literally the 5th time you've asked that.
You
It's
don't-
okay.
you don't enunciate so good.
Yeah.
I made a promise in the chat earlier this week when this all came up that I'm going to stay off the air during this segment.
Okay.
So I'm
Give me
going
the
to float
tissue,
this break.
Okay.
And I'm going to
Why don't you kill it?
I'm going to go use the bathroom.
Can I just kill the break? Kevin literally just
Kill
asked
the
me
break.
for a tissue. I'm a little uncomfortable.
I got
now.
sneezes. I got stuffy nose.
Okay.
Tito, give me a tissue.
Okay.
I don't even know what's going on.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to skip the whole first little part because there was a response in this to somebody else in chat.
Did you kill the break? Just kill it. Okay.
And here's what was said. Kevin Chambers lies.
Hold on.
And what?
You should read the whole thing. We said we read it verbatim.
I am.
You missed the first part. Of
Okay, because it was I just said because it was responding.
Because it was a
somebody
tag
else.
to Debbie.
So it said Debbie Taylor, and she was tagged. I missed this comment last night, but despite Kevin Chambers' lies,
That's me.
and twisting of reality to make straight people into victims and one's experiencing oppression, it's literally a term that the extremist right came up with to identify themselves and their sexuality with. I already said this yesterday. Now, hold on here. Let's go. It was funny because I was just taking pictures and snapshots. Okay. According to them, it means that they are so straight that they are only attracted to the opposite gender. That was AFAB/AMAB.
A female at birth, a male at birth. So
Okay, good. I was going to ask you what in the hell
Yeah.
that meant. And not trans women or men. And then this person turns their ire to moi. Paul Madden discussed this on at least 2 shows. I've been on there 20 years. Can you believe she saw the 2 exact shows that I brought this up? I'm just saying.
I'm offended that she didn't catch on that I also said I am super
That
straight.
you said you're super straight too? Yeah.
This is now the second show. Hey, guess what? I'm super straight.
So you got a woman in here going, I'm super straight.
If
right?
I'm super straight, do I get to wear like a cape and latex?
Yeah.
Or what? Go ahead.
No,
Leather.
not latex.
Leather.
Not
All right.
latex.
Spandex.
People are allergic
Spandex,
to
there
that.
you go.
Yeah, spandex.
It says Paul Madden discussed this on at least 2 shows, identified himself as, and I quote her, not me, but I quote her, super straight during those discussions, and has mentioned it again numerous other times. You were literally there for this too, Debbie, so it's not like you don't know this either. No, by calling Paul super straight, I'm simply honoring Paul's wishes to be identified as such. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. And I guess Andy feels exactly the same way. I'll finish reading before
Please
we
identify with me as that as well.
You
Yes.
and Andy are in the same island. What
That's
bizarre
maybe
world
the
is
only
this?
first time ever.
Yet Kevin, as per usual,
That's
twisted
me!
what I actually said. So she's saying you're lying again.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin refused to read my comments, addressing it, and use those lies to attack me with.
What lies?
I don't know. She didn't
She
specify.
didn't. She just said those lies. But go ahead.
And I also, in little star quotes, never said that anyone couldn't talk about these issues. What I've noted is that the hosts who have no, can you guess?
LGBTQ.
Yeah, basically. According to them, it means that they are so straight, they are only, oh wait, no, sorry, I went the wrong page.
The hosts
who have no lived experiences and also refuse to listen to anyone who does. Still, she uses comma in the wrong spots frequently. Still paint themselves as the authority. Kevin and the rest of you hosts constantly complain.
You people.
Yeah, constantly complain that Democrats and anyone left of center doesn't want to interact with or appear on the show, including most, not all, most left-leaning politicians. But it's exactly due to this craptastic, immature, childish behavior by Kevin.
That's me.
Et al. Most want nothing to do with Outlaw Radio Network because interacting with this show, if you're anywhere left of center, is a guarantee that the hosts will lie about what's actually said and then use those lies to attack the person. It's what this show has done to dun, 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 Emily Randall.
Do we lie about Emily Randall?
No, we did not lie about anything. We did it to Woody.
We lied about Woody?
Apparently. And we did it to her. Etc. Etc.
Etc.
The hosts are too scared
are
to have adult conversations. The hosts are too scared to have adult conversations based on what people actually say, apparently yet have the audacity to whine that no one wants to come on the show.
The audacity.
Now, I think it's important to note here that based on the words that were used, I think that it is important to, at least I would like to say, discuss this idea of super straight and what it is and how I used it. Andy, of course, you can explain your meaning.
Happy to.
Yeah. And now, listen, again, this is from the LGBT plus Pride wiki page. This is their definition of super straight. I felt that this was appropriate because we're accused of not quoting people properly and of, not anticipating or understanding their meaning. And first, I'd like to make it very clear. I'm 50 years old. I have a lot of lived experience for 50 years, actually. Soon to be 51.
I don't have that much.
You have a little less, yes, but so we all have lived experience. I have flown food and medical supplies to refugees out of Uganda and provided security for that so that it could go to the people that it needed to go to. I would certainly consider that a lived experience. I spent 10 years in the Army. I would certainly consider that a lived experience. I've been self-employed for 20 some years. I would consider that to be lived experience.
I have lived
I was married to Harmony. That's lived experience.
I have lived experience. I played Grand Theft.
Yeah.
Well, no, I played Grand Theft Auto and killed hookers and ran drugs. I have lived experience. Go ahead.
Wow, dude. Just wow. I was trying to keep the conversation real and serious, man. And you totally went off on that tangent. Anyway, the point just being to suggest that we don't have lived experience it's disingenuous because it's just, it's simply not true. And a rational, reasonable person would realize that. So I felt a lot of this was insinuation. It was assumption. It seems to a lot of it seemed to have been made out of anger, like maybe Kevin touched a nerve. Or
Kevin,
maybe that was the problem. Kevin didn't touch the nerve.
Did you give consent for me to touch that nerve?
Well, and whatever you do not, under any circumstances, assume gender. All right. And this is from the LGBT plus Pride wiki page. Okay. Super straight is a term for those who are only attracted to cisgender people of the opposite gender. Kevin, could you please explain to the listeners what a cisgendered person is? It's not your sister.
No, cisgender is somebody who is, I guess I would call it traditionally sexual attracted. It's a man attracted to a woman or a woman attracted to a man.
Okay. The super straight craze was an act of trying to create an atmosphere of transphobes separate from straight people. Now, I don't subscribe to that theory. I do not believe that that's the case at all. Okay. I think that is a slanderous phrase that has been attached by the militant part of the progressive left or the LGBTQ community. Like the hard left of that community has basically said, oh, people are going to call themselves super straight. I'm going to fake that I'm offended by that. Therefore, and that's, I think, what really blew the whole issue up.
Right.
Because
I have a
yes.
I have a tangenty question.
Okay, then give me 1 second to finish and you do your tangenty question, okay?
Okay.
All right. So when I use the phrase, I used it simply because it does, without any derailment at all, completely speak to me. It is me. I am only attracted to women that are born women. I use the example. If I go through my adult life from my 20s till I got married at 28, so let's say 10 years of dating women, right? I never dated a woman that was of Southeast Asian descent. Why? Because the opportunity never arose? No, actually, because I don't find them as attractive, right? So in that sense, does that make me racist? Or does that just mean I'm simply not attracted? I've never dated a woman with red hair. Why? Because I've never met one that I was...
Because you don't want fun in your life.
Yeah, that could be it, Andy. That could be it.
Jen Psaki, we're talking to you, Jen Psaki!
But the point is still the same, right? So there are certain women that I've never been attracted to and never dated, and it certainly doesn't mean that I'm bigoted against them or dislike them or anything else. So why would it mean suddenly that because I'm only attracted to women and would only date a woman that was born a woman, why in any way, shape, or form would that suggest that somehow I am A, transphobic, or B, bigoted, or any other ism maybe that you'd want to throw on there? Well, in my opinion, it doesn't, because the phrase straight, whatever it is, super straight, it applied.
Well, we're old, and times they are a changing apparently, and they're changing without us.
I'm not old, and I can answer. I also am only attracted to males that were born males.
Oh, well, I think that makes you a bad
We just
person.
heard a woman that said she was super straight.
I'm super straight.
Super straight. Not stupid straight.
Rules out, Paul.
Super straight. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, does that make you a bad person this day?
Well, that's the implication based on the hate mail, right? The implication is that by saying I'm super straight, I'm therefore transphobic and bigoted, and that somehow I don't like... Listen, I absolutely adored Debbie. Debbie sat here for a year in studio with us. We've been friends for 20 years. She dated a guy I went to junior high and high school with. Should have married him. The point is that I absolutely adored her. I absolutely adored Woody, both of which openly and freely talked about being bisexual. Did that bother me? Not in the least. I had no problem with that. Woody used to work for me, for gosh sakes. Like I literally at strip club. I don't have... I owned a dang strip club, man. Mm-hmm. Plenty of women came to work for me that were straight as an arrow and left crooked as a... Well, we can leave that part up to the imagination.
Arrow.
Crooked as an arrow. There you go. The point just being, none of that bothered me. That was a hypersexually charged atmosphere. None of that bothered me. Mm-hmm. There was no issue with it. None. Women that were completely gay. Again, no issue as long as they made me a buck. So...
There's no angry way to say bubbles unless she shorts you on your money.
There you go. God. Good Lord, Andy. Good Lord.
I learned that
we're going to write a book.
Somebody out of jail.
No, we're going to write a book, Kevin, and we're going to call it Andyisms.
Yep. It does remind me of a T-shirt I saw once that had Winnie the Pooh dressed up like a pimp, and it said, "Bitch better have my honey." Go ahead, Paul.
I love it. So anyway, it was... Look, this stuff doesn't offend me. It makes me feel sorry for a woman like Holly writing a letter like this, because it oozes of a smell of hatred. It reeks of bigotry and her own personal bias. Well, this is how you must be because you said X, Y, and Z. It makes me feel bad for her. And I sit and I think about it. I'm like, oh, how miserable must a person be to take time out of their day to write a letter like this?
Don't ask that question. You'll get depressed.
Damn, Andy. You were on a roll.
I got no.
You got no scruples tonight.
No scruples.
Yeah. Okay, Kevin. I would like to give you a minute.
Thanks.
To
So listen.
Oh, that's right. Tom had a question.
Well, I had a quick tangenty thing. You were
little orange one, tangerine thing. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
Make sure you leave me time to comment.
It's like a math thing.
It really was just kind of a snarky little side comment. I don't even know if it was snarky. But,
Tom, you're wasting time explaining it. Get to it, son.
Could have already said it by now.
Yeah, you made mention of the extreme left of the LGBTQ plus community.
I did, yes.
Yeah. Is there an extreme right, and what does that look like?
Well, yes, there is.
There's an extreme right of the LGBT.
Oh, of the LGBTQ movement?
Yeah. What would that look like?
There is. You have an entire LGBTQ movement, like for Trump, like gays for Trump and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were, yeah,
really?
and they were, yes.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
a huge.
Yep.
Huge
Man,
group.
how
Yeah.
am I
huge.
so?
I'm sorry. Some days I just need a microphone, and some days I just
You must be
don't.
doing taxes right now because it's like mindless work and your mind is going 100 different directions because you are coming up with this
called
stuff so
ADHD.
fast. There you go.
Let me.
I have 80 of them.
Let me respond, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to get into the super straight discussion because I think that's arguing semantics and word definitions.
Right.
And I mean, I totally agree with everything you said, but I just I told myself after I read this message that I was not going to name call. I was not going to react immaturely because that's what I'm accused of doing. I am a very passionate person.
You are. I would agree with you.
Now, that can be good or bad, dependent upon the environment and the situation. That's very true, and I do allow my emotions to get ahead of me on the show. That's all fact. I will question though the idea that I refused to read her comments. I've never refused to read anyone's comments. Now, I know that you've never hosted a radio show, Holly, but it can be very hard to be paying attention to 5 or 6 people in studio, Dennis on the other side of the glass, paying attention to breaks and clocks and topics, and I can't always pay attention to the chat.
And co-hosts that will bust your balls every chance that you
Yes, and the last several shows, I'm not knocking you when I say this,
right?
But Paul's not been here. So there's a little more of an onus placed on me to make sure I'm carrying the ship because Paul's not here, and we're
ship.
And Paul's not here. We're very acclimated to working together, and we have a good working flow. When Paul's not here, there's a little bit more on me. Nothing against Tom, but he hasn't done it as long.
No, it's
right?
true. It's true. Yeah.
Okay. So I've never purposely ignored anybody's message or refused to read it. I think that's just exceedingly incorrect and fabricated and designed to make you feel like a victim. And if that's how you want to feel, more power to you.
The other thing is she doesn't chat live.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring that up. Part of the other issue is, and we've said this on the show 100 times, Holly, please take notes. There'll be a quiz later. If you leave comments in the chat after the show, I can't see them. The only way I can see them is if I go back and listen to the entire 3 hours. And I often listen to the show, but I do not watch the show because I listen while I'm working and I have to work. There's veterans that need my assistance. So while I appreciate what you're saying, there's never been a time that I have actively decided not to read any of your comments. There are the occasional comments I won't read because they're vulgar or they're inappropriate or whatever, but I have never not read one of yours purposely. Call me a liar if you want. The other thing that you said that I completely disagree with is that I lie about you. I'm curious what I've lied about you about, or what I've lied about Woody about.
Or Emily Randall.
Or Emily Randall. I mean, I would like some more specific information. Now, you might disagree with what I've said, but there's a difference between disagreeing with my statements and me lying.
Right.
Because I haven't lied.
And we are a political show here.
Yeah.
Politics drives everything almost that we talk about. Kevin and I are on opposite ends of that spectrum, but we're best friends, right? So we don't know what everybody else's problem is, why y'all can't talk about stuff and have open adult-like conversations. If we can do it, you can do it.
The last thing I'll say is that the idea that we're unwilling to have a conversation with you is blatantly false. I mean, blatantly. The fact is, we have invited you to come on the show. We've invited you to call into the show. We've invited you to fill in for us when we weren't here, I believe. I believe we even posed that offer one time that you'd come in, that you and didn't we suggest her and Lori and who was it else? Woody come in and do a show.
Dude, we tried to hook you up on a date with her.
Well,
it was that open.
I have the odd feeling she probably doesn't shave. The legs, armpits, whatever. I'm guessing it's a generalization based upon your attitudes and things. I could be wrong.
It's okay. You have a wife now.
That's right. My point is, hold on. My point is this. The idea that we're unwilling to have the conversations is a blatant lie. If anybody's unwilling to have the conversations, Holly, it'd be you. Because you don't traditionally comment in the chat, although you did last Wednesday during Wednesday's show. I thank you for that. But normally you comment after the fact when we can't respond within a flow. So you wait till we're not here to respond to you. You spout off all the negative stuff you can spout off. And no matter how many times I say in the show that I know you're listening to because you comment on it later, you still continue to do it when nobody has the opportunity to read it or respond to it. We've invited you in multiple different ways, shapes, and forms to be a part of it, and you've refused. I don't know what to tell you.
And for those,
but if anybody is afraid to have the conversation, it wouldn't be us. It would be you.
I would like everybody to know, in case you haven't figured this out yet. We are speaking of a routine, regular listener who does every once in a while pop up, make comments in the chat room, and that is Holly. Some of you, plenty of you, have either been blocked by her or blocked her yourselves, so you don't see the stuff she posts. And normally we wouldn't really waste our time responding to this, but I felt there was so much wrong with the morality and the way that she presents herself and that she calls into question, and that I felt it was important. I am the argument that I'm phobic or hateful because I don't find myself attracted to somebody who's had a sex change is ridiculous. And I think there's a small subset of Americans who probably feel that way, but it's a very small section. And, if I am not attracted to somebody, if I like women with fair skin, then what would it make me if I'm not attracted to women that are tan? Like, it doesn't make me biased or phobic. It doesn't make any of those things. In fact, one of the things that she pointed out, and I want to say this because she talked about calling myself super straight, therefore I was transphobic. Well, transphobic, the literal definition in the Oxford Dictionary is coming from or having a fear or dislike of transgender or non-binary people. Folks, has anything I've ever said or done made you think for 1 second I am afraid of anybody based on their sexual preference? No. I'm not even going to wait for anybody. You guys were going to say no, right? I mean, you were going to, right, Kevin?
We
You
got
were
your
gonna
back.
say no.
We
Yeah,
got
we
your
were
back.
going to say no.
Okay, thank you.
But
Go
are
ahead.
you in the chat rooms for the toys?
Wow. Yeah. That's that. Okay, I'm off track now. All right.
I do have an observation to make.
A scientist with an observation.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. But actually, it's more from my political stance and observing.
You know what his political stance is, Kevin?
Gold.
Hold on. Let me straddle the fence.
No,
I'm just going to check
actually
your.
not.
Let him give it because I still need to reply to
Yeah,
something.
not
Go ahead.
actually, not at all.
You're not at all.
Okay. I don't straddle the political fence, and this will maybe this comment will help people understand a libertarian stance a little more. So me standing back and watching the volleyball game, if you will, the ball goes back and forth from the left to the right or the blue to the red, whatever you want to call it. Both teams communicate with each other really well. Put the ball over here, put the ball over there. But no one's using lingo that matches the game, right? They all have their own lingo, their own code. No one understands either team. And then they start yelling at each other in their own codes, and no one knows what's going on, right? I mean, the idea of super straight, right? That came from what? Didn't that come
couple
from?
Young kids came
Right.
up with the term,
Right, right, and so it just gets picked up by a group and perpetuated forward, but no one on the outside that group really understands what's being said. So I mean,
It's like boomer, right?
Yeah.
It's like boomer. They start calling people boomer because they assign a thing to it, and nobody else outside of that has a grasp of what it really means,
right?
Besides the implication of whatever idiot came up with the term in a derogatory sense,
Right. So I mean, we've got this problem. I mean, that's what I talk about when I say tribalism, right? I mean, we've got the groups on the left and the groups on the right, and they're all battling with each other. Why don't we just knock it off? Speak English that's in the normal Webster's dictionary. I don't want to have to go find some alternative dictionary somewhere unless it's the Urban Dictionary because it's funny.
Dutch oven.
Yeah. Cleveland steamer.
Chicken bricking.
No, you went there.
Hold on. Can I jump in? Can I jump in really quick? The last thing I want to say about it is this, and Paul has taken the stand that he's had in regards to the whole LGBTQ. To even talk to me about LGBTQ stuff is ridiculous. I've been the biggest supporter of it on this show the entire time we've done it, so I'm not going to defend that.
We openly supported the marriage.
But here's what I'm going to say. And Holly, I'm not calling names, but I'm going to make an observation. I believe you may be the biggest hypocrite I've ever seen in my life. I spend more time on this show ripping into Michelle Caldier than anyone else. I talk negative about Michelle Caldier far more than Emily Randall, far more than Woody, far more than you on a competitive, normal basis for the better part of the last 5 years. And I notice that of all the people that you stood up for, Michelle Caldier, another woman, didn't warrant it because she doesn't back your political persuasion. And quite frankly, if that doesn't scream you're a hypocrite, I don't know what does. I am willing to have a conversation with you. I would love for you to come on the show, bring your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse, your 5 partners. I don't, whatever line of sexuality you believe in, bring whomever you want. Bring an armed bodyguard. I don't care. You do you, boo. But you want to have a conversation, come in the studio and have it. But until you're willing to do that, all you are is somebody throwing rocks into a pond and waiting to see where the ripples come up.
I think they call those trolls.
Troglodytes. I don't know. We'll go to
I'm
break.
leaving it alone. I thought it was great.
We'll go to break. When we come back, we'll get into some national stuff, including what happened in Memphis. Stick around, Outlaw Radio.
Facebook.
Outlaw Radio.
So here's this joke in my house with a wife with ADHD. I've got Andy in here who deals with it. And by the way, you women that do, man, kudos to you guys are amazing. It's like a superpower, I think.
That's what gave us 14 hours in the office the other day doing
you two
this
spend
straight.
14. Oh my God.
Straight.
So I was talking to my wife and my daughter, and I'm like, oh my God. She's like, what? I said, I just sat through a conversation between 2 females with ADHD. You know how that conversation went? Did you say
About
something?
one word each?
Yeah. Did you say something? What? Did you say something? What? 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 What, Mom? What? What are you asking me what for?
What?
Yeah.
What? What?
I will
What?
find you.
I have all those conversations in my head.
What,
myself.
Mom? What?
Hold on.
What are you asking me what for? What?
You keep playing that, and your mic went hot.
What?
I have all those conversations in my head.
What, Mom? What?
Hold on.
You are killing us.
Because
I'm glad we're at commercial break
Yeah,
right now.
I don't know
Because
how I did that. No, it was muted earlier. I didn't unmute it. That is so weird. I don't know what's going on. Dante's in the chat. Dante,
Hi,
long time
Dante.
no speak, man. You got to come back on the show sometime. That'd be fun. All right. Anybody else have any comments on what we talked about? Because we're gonna go to national.
No,
stuff in a
I'm
minute.
gearing up for this national conversation about Memphis. Yeah. Yeah.
Are we gonna disagree?
I don't know. It's I have no idea, Kevin. We did not do any show prep on this topic, like every other topic in the facing news.
No, hold on. No, that isn't true. We do show prep individually. We do not, and here's why.
I'm working on my delivery, brother.
Here's why. We never talk about stuff face to face because those are the conversations we're going to have on the air.
You know how many times for you guys that are seeing that's happened? Like one of us will call the other one in the middle of the week to discuss. We got to have this topic on air, okay? And then we start talking about it, and we're like, "Shut up, dude! Wait, no, we got to talk about this Sunday." Yeah, it happens.
Because if
all
you
the
talk
time.
it all out in the chat, then you've already kind of
It's not organic.
We're on Facebook, right? You've blown your load.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's
Kevin.
No, I'm serious. You've shot your shot. You know what I mean? You've done all the processing and discussion.
Now
online,
I know. Thanks.
And
to
by
you,
the time you get to the show, it's not the same. You can't.
now I know what you guys mean all the time. How Kevin ruins the money shot.
Kevinisms are not reflective of Outlaw Radio Network, and as such should not be construed.
I am
as
not
any
throwing away my
representation
shot.
thereof.
All right.
Oh,
Dennis, you're going to record this next hour, right? You're going to record the next hour? Because we're
I
going to
should
need it.
hope so. Isn't
Gonna
that for Atlanta?
Going to need it for prosperity's sake. In case I get fired after this. All right.
Why you're? What are you wearing the tinfoil hat for?
Take the tinfoil off.
No.
Like none of the signals can reach into your brain pan through that.
I'm
tinfoil
growing
hat.
hair, man. I've heard it works.
Oh my goodness.
I told my 16-year-old daughter, I'm like, because I have to buy her stuff for her hair. She's half African American, so she has African American hair, which is not a racial stereotype, but it often requires.
No, but I believe
it is very
I believe
different.
firmly that you would be referred to as a racist just for saying that,
Probably.
or of racial appropriation
But it
by
requires
certain
really-
members of the listening audience.
It requires special hair care stuff. It's really expensive. So I was giving her crap. I'm like, you are so expensive. your hair stuff just costs a lot. And her response to me, you're just jealous you don't have any hair.
Exactly.
Atta girl.
Holy shit. You adopt her, and this is what happens.
She's like, Dad, I didn't want to tell you that before the adoption was final.
Outlaw
Just
Radio.
figured you might throw me back like a fish you didn't want.
We're coming back. After this, we'll talk about Memphis. Outlaw Radio.
Walking in.
Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
This country can't be knocked out with one punch. We get right back up again, and when we do, the world's going to hear the roar of our engines.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
You do your work, and we will do our bit.
Republic. I like the sentiment of it. It means people can live free, talk free, go or come, buy or sell, be drunk or sober, however they choose.
Are you ready to be who you are?
No poetry, just a straight answer.
The government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false statements and expressions of hope for continued peace.
We are men of the hood, marry now at your expense.
But there's no both sides anymore. They're just trying to wreck our goddamn country. It's time for you younger guys to take over.
You were meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
If you guys don't start thinking as men, we're gonna have a lousy country.
For the crimes of incitement to cause unrest, I decline to be an outlaw.
Outlaw Radio Network, thanks for checking out the show. We appreciate you all over the United States and around the world on outlawradionetwork.com. Also,
Coast to coast.
Coast to coast. You can also find us on
Come on, Kevin. You
YouTube?
got this.
Mega Talk.
No pressure.
I've been doing this
Yes,
forever.
outlawradionetwork.com.
I just said that, and then I said you can also find us on Mega Talk.
Okay.
Right. And so we're all over the place. You can find us. Thanks for checking. Be sure to go to the outlawradionetwork.com website. You can check out all of our gear. We got t-shirts, hats, pajama bottoms,
bras, panties, banana hammocks.
We don't have banana hammocks yet, but I'm holding out hope that we do have boxers,
Briefs.
yoga pants.
I need some yoga pants.
Various shades of a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yes,
Oh,
Tom,
love
you
it.
need yoga pants. It's
I'm going to
true.
wear my outlaw yoga pants and my ugly Christmas sweater.
Can I
Just
ask you?
for
Can I ask you, ladies, a question? When a
And your
man
Hello
with
Kitty
hairy,
hat.
when a man with hairy legs wears yoga pants, does it look like he stuffed Sasquatch in a bag, or
Yes,
Yeah.
especially when they're white yoga pants, and ours are white.
Paul,
oh Lord,
I'm going to shave down dolphin smooth just for you.
Baby oil yourself up, man.
Oh.
Baby oil yourself up.
Oh, I don't know how to take that. That visual is not leaving the frontal cortexual lobe thing, whatever.
Tom, can you please get a photo of you in your Christmas outfit?
No.
And what I want to do is I want to make it an 8x10, and I want you to autograph it. We'll give it to Paul for Christmas.
I hate
for the listeners who don't remember this.
Right back off.
Tom
the
came in
Christmas
at
list.
Christmas in an elf outfit, but both of his nipples were cut
No,
out.
it was his ugly Christmas sweater.
Ugly Christmas sweater that had holes cut out where his nipples were, and both of his nipples are pierced. And Paul could just not quit looking. And Paul was just like, "Oh my god!"
Oh no, that's not what happened.
Tom won, by the way, the ugly
Tom won, yeah.
Christmas.
Well, I had to hang Christmas ornaments off my nipple rings.
There you go.
I was being festive.
I mean, all I'm thinking is he's the reason for the season. I'm like looking at Tom, going, "Oh, help me."
Hey, can we have?
Oh, help me,
Tom. Listen, Tom.
Yeah,
we're gonna have Christmas in July.
Okay.
I won't remind you again.
Okay.
But one night between now and then, off air, we'll talk about it. We'll all plan Christmas in July. We will not tell Paul. We'll all just show up in Christmas attire.
I'll bust out my bah humbug gear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dress as Ben Compton and wear your Boogaloo shirt. All you gotta do.
Okay.
All right, let's tone it down a minute.
All right,
So,
we
laugh
gotta
so
get
much.
serious.
Serious topic.
I can't believe we're gonna go from Tom's nipples to this subject, but it seems like a normal transition to me. Hey, again, Buffer. Don't forget to check us out at outlawradionetwork.com. You can find all of our old shows, all of our swag, all of our stuff, information about your hosts, and eventually you'll be able to buy those autographed 8x10 photos of Tom.
Discounted.
Yeah. No, full price with the markup. All right. We're going to move to Memphis, and this is a difficult conversation. Excuse our levity to start the show, but it's how we deal with stuff. We make jokes about everything to deal with conversations that we're about to have, like this one.
When we do spend a lot of time reading depressing stuff.
We do, because there's so much depressing stuff to talk about.
I'm not sure we can get away from it.
Tom,
No.
do you want to have a segment once a week where you bring something happy into the show?
I would, yeah.
F it,
it's
Tom. Forget
about
it.
damn
No.
time, Tom.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
something sunny, something sunshiny.
So
Sure.
let me start by reading. Now,
hold on. Do you want me to give the facts as we know them before we get into, or you're going to read, or is that?
well, I just wanted to start with this overall, the headline.
Okay.
And this headline really struck me. Now, we all trust the AP, the Associated Press. They're one
We
of
do?
the top. Well, so listen, the Associated Press is, I would say that when they run a story, you expect it to be as traditional from a journalistic standpoint as you can get. I don't think that there's anybody else overall that does or attempts to be as neutral in their reporting from a journalistic standpoint. Kevin, would you agree or disagree? Obviously, Tom has a problem with that.
I think every media source has an agenda.
Well, of course they all do, but I'm just talking about the AP as a whole. Tom?
No, I do think they're spun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I mean, they have to sell their articles.
they do well. Okay, so think of it like this: the AP is what's quoted by most people in news,
Right.
right? So here
I-
was
I
they're
know
the
where they
least.
are.
They're the least spun. Would you agree with that? They're
I would
probably
agree they're the
spun
least
of the major,
spun, but
of the major ones.
I don't think they're the gold standard in journalism.
No, that's Outlaw Radio. But go ahead.
okay. So here's the AP's update on this story, and this was from last Thursday. Memphis, Tennessee. Authorities on Friday were set to release police video depicting 5 Memphis officers beating a black man whose death resulted in murder charges and provoked outrage at the country's latest instance of police brutality. Family members of Tyree Nichols pleaded for any protests to remain peaceful. Now, on the surface, that sounded like a totally reasonable and acceptable title.
Sure.
Right? Okay. Now, I just wanted to set the story with that. Go ahead, Kevin.
So here's what we know. We know that back on January 7th, Tyree Nichols, who's 29, African-American man, was stopped by police for what they had originally said was reckless driving. The stop escalated into a confrontation that eventually led to him being pepper sprayed and tasered. He fled the police. He was pursued by the police officers, where he was tackled and then beaten. Again, I'm not. These are just facts, right? I mean, there's a video that shows him beating him. Whether it's justified or not is a conversation we'll get to later. He was beaten by the police officers once he was tackled for fleeing the police, and he eventually died from his injuries. Now, I have to be honest and say I have not. Now, you said you had.
Yes.
I have not viewed the video, and I have a very hard time with the idea of viewing the video. The journalist in me or the talk show guy in me says I should watch it. The human in me has no desire to do so. According to the article that I'm reading from the New York Times, which is a slanted publication, let's own that up front, implies that he was stopped by police for reckless driving. When the police stopped his car, they approached it with guns drawn and ordered him out of the vehicle. That to me does not sound like a normal traffic stop, for one. Okay. Especially for a reckless driving infraction. I would have understood if they approached it to his window and asked for his license and registration. The fact that they came upon his car with their guns drawn, ordered him out of the vehicle, all of that seems a little spun to me. Also, this is according to the Times, Paul, so you can tell me if you got different feedback when you saw the video, because again, I haven't seen it. According to the Times, it does not look like at any point he resisted or tried to use any level of force against the police officers. He did flee after he was pepper sprayed and tasered, which a lot of people will say, well, if you don't want to get, tackled by the cops and the crap beat out of you, why are you running? And then once he was upon the ground after being tackled, he was cuffed. And while he was cuffed on the ground, he was still being beaten by police. That is what I was told. Now, Paul, is that factual as you've seen the video? I mean,
as close as it can be, you reading an article and not having seen the video, right. That is a fair representation.
Okay. And then the last part of this is the 5 officers involved. The city of Memphis is pursuing charges against them, including kidnapping and second-degree murder. There are also emergency aid personnel that are being disciplined as well, because even after he was assaulted,
they stood there.
First aid showed up and did not immediately render aid for several minutes after he was on the ground.
It took 20 minutes for aid to arrive.
Yeah. And even after they arrived, they did not
there.
immediately administer the aid.
Correct.
How do you want to do this conversation? Because I'm very passionate about this. Again, having not seen the videotape. And so I'm having an emotional kind of response to all the things I've read about this, the comments from the family, the comments from the mayor of Memphis, who has come out very strongly.
Can we point out this was a young man that had no criminal record?
Yeah.
Jason Whitlock did an interview with Tucker Carlson that it was so profound and compelling to me. For those of you that don't know who Jason Whitlock is, look him up. He's an African-American commentator. Very much the intellectual. I really absolutely can get into the stuff that he says. It's wonderful. Because he put into words what I could not. Like, I watched it and I'm like, what is wrong with this picture and all of the things going on? It's why I started this segment with the AP story. If you're the AP, why do you bring up that the victim was black but not the cops? Okay. Because it is the intent of for-profit media to lead you down the road of outrage. Not letting you stop and think about and quantify why or how, but to sell for profit, whether it's Fox News, CNN, or MSNBC, or whoever, Washington Post, New York Times. It's about selling. It's about taking your money. It's about grabbing your heart with a headline. Black man killed by 5 cops.
5 black cops. Yep.
Why isn't it important to mention the race of the cops? Because the initial gut reaction, the visceral reaction is that it's racially motivated. And if you had mentioned the race of the cops, you take that emotion out of the conversation instantly. And the story is more compelling from a humanistic standpoint.
It shouldn't take anything out of the conversation.
But it does when you're trying to sell.
But
racism sells.
Racism sells, but the fact that our police departments across the country need to be revamped.
Yes, they do. But I'm not even to that point yet. But yes, you are correct.
Right, but I mean, that conversation is still relevant. So why I don't.
Which part are you saying? Which part of the conversation is still relevant?
No, I'm saying, well, the fact that police departments need oversight, they need to be revamped, training needs to, et cetera.
Absolutely,
I mean, all those things, right?
You're right on every single part there.
So, I mean, the fact that, I mean, they could have very easily said, black man killed by 5 black cops.
Yes.
And it'd still be an important conversation. It'd still be an important article.
Oh, absolutely. The other part of that, right? So if we ask the question one way, let's ask the question another way. Why state the victim's race? So because there's really 3 ways to look at it. Mention the cop's race, mention the victim's race, mention one or the other, or nobody's. Right? How does the story change? How does it's an honest question. How does the story change based on those simple details added or removed from the headline of the story?
Let me just say this. Go ahead. I disagree with you in one part of your discussion. The race of the victim is important, if just to illustrate another issue of a young black male dying at the hands of police, regardless of race. Because we've seen.
Yes, you're answering the question I just asked.
No, but I'm just saying I think that is where his race comes into play, but not the officers.
Yeah.
If only because Eric Gardner, I believe there were African Americans involved in that. George Floyd, I believe that there were African American officers involved in that.
And an Asian American.
Yeah. So I do think the race of the victim is important over the race of the cops, if only to say this is another example of a young black man dead at the hands of police.
So I'm not going to say this. This is not an attack on what you said, but you answered my question. You didn't disagree with me. I didn't say anything for you to disagree with.
I thought you were kind of
asked
implying
questions.
your answer. Okay.
I said, how does the story and its relevance change based on what information is added or taken away based on race? Does, with regards to the cop's race, the victim's race, etc. Because what you just said is a very valid point, but it somehow implies that unarmed white men aren't killed at the hands of police officers. And they are, right?
Yep.
So
Arizona.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So this is an issue that's different, in my opinion, when you look at the, black man beaten by 5 cops, da-da-da-da-da. Is that really the issue? Because people are killed rather routinely by cops now, it seems, right? Of all races. And in fact, you're more likely to be killed by cops if you're white, based on statistics. Okay. Now, per capita, another issue. But we're talking about relevancy, right? And that story and that headline. And what Jason Whitlock pointed out, because as I'm looking at it, I'm going, what do you even say about this story? Because it's sickening. And here's what he said. I'm paraphrasing. I am not quoting, folks. He points out that he saw 5 gangbangers beat a kid to death. He said, I saw 5 men that were in a gang that had all the power and authority over somebody else who tried to get away from them because he knew his life was in danger for whatever reason. So when people are like, why did he run? Because he knew he was in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he ran. And then they caught up to him and they beat him down.
So when I saw the video the first time, that was one of the things I said. That's not 5 cops. That's 5 thugs.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then you look at the makeup of those former police officers, all 30 years old and younger.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the leadership and the culture that existed there. They were part of a team called the Scorpion Team, I believe was the name of it. And what their job was, I don't know. But clearly there was an oversight issue there. And as Jason Whitlock pointed out, he goes, there are parts of this country where 90% of young black men grow up with no fathers. And they grow up with this middle finger to authority mentality,
Mhm.
and we're going to do things our way.
Mhm.
And the fist rules. And he goes, if we want to have a conversation about this issue, we as the African American community need to address every single aspect of it. And it starts with how we are raising our kids and what we teach them to respect and not respect. Because he goes, you can have the argument, right? And he pointed out, and rightfully so, I saw a lot of my friends in the Republican Party posting the same crap on their Facebook pages. Why can't people just do what cops say? Because you're still going to get killed. If you're going to get killed by cops and they're going to beat you to death, they're going to do it. And it ain't going to matter if you're following their instructions or not, just like the young white boy in the hotel room in Arizona.
Sharper.
So this isn't an issue of cops, white or black, killing somebody that's white or black. The issue, as I perceive it, is with cops that shouldn't be cops. People that are becoming police officers that shouldn't be. And I think we could look at the Uvalde shooting and the unwillingness of certain officers to put themselves in harm's way. And there's a lot more that goes with that. But, you know, it has become much more of a societal issue and what is acceptable and what isn't. Tom?
So I see it. I don't see the race side of it. What I see is kind of the police are sort of on from observing something like what just happened. The police are on one side of a line of the haves and the have-nots.
Okay,
because there's I really, I mean, we live in, you know, white bread Pacific Northwest, so there's not a lot of racial diversity here as far as that goes. But what I see is something
We're
like
pasty white and Filipino here.
Yeah. That's not wrong. You know, especially in Kitsap with all the Navy bases.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm seeing more like a line between the haves and the have-nots, and the police are standing on that edge of the line, defending the haves. Right, and the have-nots are, you know, there's kind of a.
So the police are deciding who has and has not.
Well, no, I'm talking like the haves and the have-nots on a financial, you know, like a.
You're suggesting there's two tiers of justice in this country?
Yeah, if you've got money, then you know you're going to be okay.
If it doesn't fit, you must quit.
Right? Yeah. I mean, if you've got money, you're going to be okay. If you don't have money and it's immediately obvious to law enforcement, we don't need to worry about this guy.
And you're so right. This is an issue we've discussed for years, isn't it, Kevin?
Let me say this. I agree with everything you guys have said, but I do believe there's a very strong race component to this.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
I believe you're 110,000% correct.
I think officers have...
Comes down to that one word, doesn't it?
Which word?
When you're a cop and you're driving around, you see a black man driving a car. What do? You profile.
Profiling. Yeah, I think that, and again, it gets back to the greater systemic things you were talking about, Paul, within the African-American community, the inner city communities, all of that. But I think that when officers are pulling somebody over in those communities, and it's an African-American youth, they are a little more concerned, a little more on guard,
They're more amped up.
a little more,
and they were in the video. You could see it. You're right.
A little more worried about how that person is going to respond to them. So I think that fear by police. How am I going to be perceived? How are they going to approach me? How are they going to respond to me? How are they going to disrespect me? How are they going to disobey me? Are they a threat? I think they are already on guard to defend themselves.
Correct.
Excuse me, before they even need to be.
And that was to Jason Whitlock's point. He was pointing out there's a reason why cops are on guard when they pull a young black man over.
Yep.
I don't necessarily...
But hold on. Let me finish. But the larger issue for me in this story is the initial traffic stop, which in and of itself should tell you the minds of where the officers were at when it happened. Tom, if you were driving home from the radio show and you were driving home and you were maybe weaving a little erratically, you dropped your cell phone, you're trying to wiggle out of the seat, and you kind of weave a little bit and the cop pulls you over, they are not going to have four of their friends with them, all with their guns drawn, ordering you to get out of the vehicle and lay down. They're going to walk up to it with their flashlight out and their hand on their holster, and they're going to ask to see your license and registration. When they came out of that police car, they were ready and expecting a confrontation.
Correct.
And it is important to note that what the experts have said in Memphis is nothing in the dashboard camera justifies they had any reason to pull him over for reckless driving. So this is, as you said, profiling, a profiling traffic stop where they were ready to dish out punishment from the moment they got behind his car. So hold on. We're going to take a break.
Yep.
We'll come back. We'll keep talking about this. Stick around. It's Outlaw Radio. We're back after this.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I feel like if I didn't have anyone to push me, I wouldn't give a bother to do it. I got one milestone down the drain, and now I got to work on the next. I see the future is really bright for me. I feel like it doesn't matter the age, as long as you go back and get it done. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
No one gets a diploma alone. You have more support than you realize. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, I had one thing on my mind. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball every chance I could. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn the signs of a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. I'm Paul George. Protect the ones you love. Spot a stroke F-A-S-T. Fast. Life is why. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's K-Dog with the Outlaw Radio Network. We are everywhere. You can follow us on all your favorite social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, and more. And if you want to follow me personally, hop on your Twitter and just search for K-Dog the Outlaw. And don't forget our really cool website, outlawradionetwork.com, full of all the cool merch you've been looking for. Outlaw Radio Network. Are you an outlaw yet? Admin a la carte are specialized local experts committed to helping you run your small business. From general admin and sales support to marketing, digital media and technology to real estate and compliance. Admin a la carte's only goal is to take your business to the next level. Find out how Admin a la carte can elevate your business. Visit admin-alacarte.com for more information. That's admin-alacarte.com. Admin a la carte. Your business doesn't fit into a box. Why should you have to?
This is the Outlaw Radio Network.
All right, Outlaw Radio, that's checking out the show again. You can find out more at outlawradionetwork.com. All the swag, all the gear, all the old shows, all of that. You can outlawradionetwork.com. So we're talking about the situation went down in Memphis and the death, the murder that many people are calling it the murder of Tyree Nichols at the hands of 5 Memphis police officers.
If you haven't seen the video, I would agree with the title murder. I mean, you can't baton a handcuffed man.
I know that I'm
right.
I know that I'm a snowflake with this. I totally get it. I cannot bring myself to watch it.
It's horrible.
I struggled over it last night when I got home from some nonprofit stuff that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
And
I was in tears at the end of the video. And you know, I'm a skinflint, grumpy old man, and I was in tears.
let me see what makes this different. Okay, because I think this is a different situation. And there was somebody, I don't know if it was CNN or what network is on that I saw, but I agree with it. What they said was there's two things that makes this situation different. One is, as you guys talked about earlier, that all 5 of the officers involved were African American. that has changed the public reaction in Memphis. If these were white cops, if these were white cops, I think the response in Memphis would have been far more violent than what we're seeing now. I think the other thing that's different and very important, and something I think other municipalities can learn from, is that Memphis did not sit on this for months before they made a decision and did something. Now, this did happen on January 7th. It took them until January 27th or January 3rd, January 7th, January 7th. So it took them 20 days to make a decision. But I think that's before they decided to press charges. But I think that's reasonable.
That's investigation time.
Yes. Yep, I would agree.
You have to go through body cam footage. You have to review video footage that wasn't on the body cams that other people took. You have to go through witness statements. You need to thoroughly investigate all the officers and the victim and the family and all of that.
Well, there was a department camera. The video I saw was a department camera. It's like a camera on a light post or something that unfortunately had just perfect, perfect perspective of the whole thing.
And
that was owned by Memphis PD, I believe.
I think Memphis, the authorities in Memphis did an amazing job of moving this quickly to show that they were not trying to bury it. They weren't trying to cover it up.
Mhm.
They weren't going to drag their feet about it. They were going to hold them accountable like anybody else.
Mhm.
And I think that was a bonus. Now, the problem with this is, and I mean this, I will not fault any other African American who runs from cops after a normal traffic stop. Because part of me feels like they've watched this play out. And again, we can talk about the implication of the media. How negative is it? How much are they selling? How much do they motivate people? But if I'm an African American guy driving around in St. Louis or Atlanta or Seattle or New York City, and 5 police officers come up on what would be a normally routine traffic stop with their guns drawn, I'm not going to fault him for running, because the traffic stop in and of itself was excessive. How are you not scared to death? How are you not worried you're not going to make it home? How do you have any faith? And again, I'm not saying all cops are bad. I'm just saying if I'm that African American 20-something-year-old, this story is going to play in my head.
So I still think that this is less about race and more about the have and have not, because I have no idea what kind of car he was driving, but I'm willing to bet it wasn't probably anything nice.
So you think that they just saw him driving and thought, there goes a poor black man, so they beat him to death?
I don't know that they necessarily were able to tell what his race was from being behind. I mean, you see a headrest. You can't really tell, is that driver black?
You just think they
white?
Saw somebody they thought was poor.
If
you
it was,
could totally be right. I don't know.
If it was a clunker vehicle and they didn't like something about the way it was the car was driven, sure, I could see it.
He was in a predominantly black neighborhood. I think
Right.
I think they had a reasonable hunch that he was black.
Sure, but
you know what I mean?
Right, but okay, let's put this situation here in Kitsap County. So if you've got a
Hold on, let me interrupt you. I'm going to take this a different way. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt,
no,
but
it's
take this a
okay.
different way. Do you think this would have played out the same way if he'd been a white driver?
Maybe
a white guy in his 50s. Do you think it would have played out this way? A white guy in his 50s?
It depends. So one of the things I did not see the initial traffic stop, so I don't know what I don't know what behavior he had that led the cops to need to tase and pepper spray and all the rest of that.
From what I've read, now again, I haven't seen the video.
Right.
From what I've read, he questioned them with what he did wrong because he didn't understand.
That's reasonable.
But he obeyed their commands and did what they asked him to do. The only time that they got any kind of a pushback from him at all is they were pinning him down to the ground, and he was uncomfortable.
Right.
But I don't, there's nothing I've read. Now, again, I haven't read the video because I'm a snowflake. I mean, I haven't watched the video because I'm a snowflake, but everything I've read is that he did not offer up resistance. He did what we've been telling youth to do the entire time. Obey the police.
Well, this is where there's a lot of people making comments in the chat room and stuff.
Okay.
Well, about this is where watching the video would have helped you.
Oh my God.
Because in the first part of the video, I hate to say it like this, but in all truth and honesty, he wasn't exactly complying. He wasn't fighting with the officers, but he wasn't exactly complying. It's not like he laid down, put his arms behind his back. It was.
Now,
go ahead.
So I haven't seen the early part. I've seen the later part, and the part that convinces me that yes, this is in fact second-degree murder. Because after they had the poor guy on the ground and handcuffed, an officer walked up and soccer kicked his head. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, after he's cuffed and contained, that's where the brutality goes in, right? So, I mean, if he
I said, it was 5 young black men that happened to be wearing a badge, and they acted like a gang.
Yeah, if he had done something stupid to get pulled over and to get tased or to get pepper sprayed, okay, the question of reasonable force, is there. But after he's cuffed, there is no reasonable force. He's no longer a threat.
And and that's 100% correct. And I ask my conservative friends and my Republican friends I know that for a lot of you, your instinctual reaction is to say, comply and you'd still be alive. I don't necessarily believe that in this case, as we've been doing this for years, and we've seen a lot of cases where people who comply, or they comply the best they can, still end up dead or shot or beaten within an inch of their life. And almost every time I've seen that happen, it's because you have cops that decided it was their right to be violent and be a bully. And I will, from now until my dying day, talk about the disparity in our justice system, because there is one. And I don't mean a racial disparity. Yes, we can point to statistics and talk about that. I'm not going to say that doesn't exist. The disparity in our legal system is what Tom was getting at, which is if you're not wealthy. There's absolutely a two-tiered justice system. There's one for the wealthy and one for the rest of us. If you make $2,000 a month working at Burger King, a $200 speeding ticket is going to affect you vastly greater than the guy that's independently wealthy selling real estate making $20,000 a month.
Yep.
That in and of itself is a massive disparity. You have a system where a person could get a speeding ticket, gets pulled over, is poor, doesn't have insurance, gets another ticket, gets a host of tickets for what? Because they're poor, and then can't work their way out of it. And then before they know it, they're going to lose their license. But they got to keep driving. They got to put food on the table. It is a never-ending spiral. Folks, I just need you, I'm asking you to take a moment to recognize that it is a two-tiered system. It just is. And until we acknowledge that, we're never going to be able to accept. Go just type into YouTube, okay? Go watch the videos of unarmed, just put unarmed people shot by police, and you will be amazed at the videos that will come up. Amazed.
In this situation in Memphis, I believe if that young man had been driving a nice BMW or a new car, he probably wouldn't have been bothered at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I think that you're both right when you talk about the discrepancies between the haves and the have-nots, those with money, those without money. I totally agree with all of that. I don't believe that there's any way that race did not play a significant role, though, because I think that there is a belief that some officers will have the belief that they're going, and listen, they are let's own the other side of the argument, right? All the black communities are more unsafe. There is more violence. There is more gun violence. There is more property crimes in predominantly black communities. Now, again, I'm not being racist when I say this. Go look at the data and the numbers. It's a God's honest truth. So I don't fault officers for going into those environments and being more concerned.
Right. But most of those environments are also the have-nots. I mean, so
well, that's true.
I would agree that there's a disproportionate number of our African American communities, etc.
Okay, hold on.
That are part of that have-not.
Got to go to break. Stick around. One more segment around the corner. This is Outlaw Radio. Admin a la carte are specialized local experts committed to helping you run your small business. From general admin and sales support to marketing, digital media and technology to real estate and compliance, Admin a la carte's only goal is to take your business to the next level. Find out how Admin a la carte can elevate your business. Visit admin-a-la-carte.com for more information. That's admin-alacarte.com. Admin a la carte. Your business doesn't fit into a box. Why should you have to? Hey, it's K-Dog here. Don't forget to check out our brand new website, outlawradionetwork.com. Not only can you catch live streaming of our live shows, you can catch an archive of all of our older shows. On top of that, the coolest merch on the web. Outlaw Radio gear is available with some great stuff now and more stuff to come. Only available at outlawradionetwork.com. Get outlawed on outlawradionetwork.com.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
All right, so check this out.
Well, congratulations, Kevin. You've affected your mood completely.
I know. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't. But listen, so I'm watching as Tom called it, the Skycam part of the video.
It's on. They put police cams up in Memphis, all over on power poles.
Yeah, they call it Sky Cop.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna describe to you what I'm seeing if you haven't seen the video, and I apologize if whatever.
While you keep watching for a second, let me answer a question.
Okay,
that Pam asked in the chat. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I can't find the question. Can you please explain why there were 5 officers? Please answer why there were 5 officers. There weren't at first.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it was a traffic stop for reckless driving. However, the cop that pulled him over basically had his gun drawn when he got out of the car. So rather than escalate the situation, and again, this was a young man in his early 20s who had never had problems with the police. He worked for FedEx as a driver. Now, not having had problems with the cops doesn't mean that you're a good person and not a bad person, or that you won't do anything wrong. But I think we can fairly easily all agree that, if you're in your mid-20s and you've never had a problem with the cops, you're probably not you're not a career criminal. So, I mean, there are certain small assumptions that can be made, right? And, the kid's calling for his mom. The cops immediately are coming after him. Now, again, like I said, he didn't exactly comply perfectly. But you know why that happens? That happens when you have 2 or 3 cops shouting commands at somebody who's already upset, energized, full of adrenaline, had cops pull guns on him, right? He's feeling like the moment he gets out of that car, he's going to get killed.
Yep.
And you know what? They proved him right.
The video that I'm watching, so this is after they have pursued him and they have tackled him. He's in the street. So I'm going to explain the video that I'm seeing as I see it, okay? So they have 3 officers that are holding them down. A 4th officer, a very big officer, has one of those collapsible batons. And you can see him walk up. And now Tyree is laying on the ground, okay? The big officer comes up. Tyree is not moving. He's not resisting. Watch the video. I just posted in the chat.
He's cuffed at that point.
I believe he is. He is not resisting. He is not moving. He is laying there. Okay. The 3 officers then struggle to get him up. And the big cop, now again, he's not resisting at all. The big officer gets behind Tyree and then starts to beat him with the collapsed baton. Now, at this point, if I'm Tyree, I'm trying to get away. Okay. And I'm not going to fault Tyree for that. I'm trying to get away because these guys are beating the crap out of me and I'm cuffed. Okay. Tyree's not even really trying to get away. He at one point he does, but the cops still have a really good hold on him. The officer with the baton continues to hit him. And then listen, like a really bad Hollywood movie, 2 of the cops hold him up while a 3rd cop starts punching him with a fist in the face. And you can watch it. He just continues. And Tyree's not even, he's not going down, but he's not falling down. He's not trying to run away. He's stuck. And that officer continues to punch him in the face while the other officers hold him up. And they continue to beat on this kid. If you can watch the video that I just posted in the chat, and you can tell me that this is not a murder by 4, now this shows 4, a 5th officer is on the scene, but I don't see him doing anything.
There's more. There's 8 at one point.
Well, there's 4 here and there's 1 here that I can see.
And
okay?
and they all
they are
stand
laying
around
on him. They're holding him down. This is listen, take the race of the officers out of this. This is a lynching. Okay, this is a good old-fashioned lynching. And I'm just going to say these officers should have been charged with first-degree murder for 1. They should be subject to the death penalty. Listen,
it doesn't.
Hold on.
You can't change that.
Maybe I can't, but I will tell you this: if one of those officers had been assaulted and been killed, there would have been extenuating circumstances to the charges because you assaulted a police officer. If you are a police officer in the line of duty and you this extreme.
That's why they were charged with not only murder but kidnapping as well. Unlawful imprisonment, things like that, because they have complete control.
God, now I'm mad that I watched it because I had hoped in my heart of hearts that if I didn't watch it, I could believe there might be some redeeming factor in this, something that the kid did that wouldn't justify it, but I could be like, well, maybe I kind of understand what the cops might have been thinking when they. And in the bit that I've seen from the video I posted, I can't see it.
So at the beginning, there was probably justified use of force for pepper spray or a taser.
Maybe, yeah.
But as soon as that man is cuffed, he's no longer a threat. The force has to stop. You know, you put him in the back of a patrol car or something, and after he's cuffed, you don't kick a man in the head. You don't beat him with a baton. That's not professional law enforcement.
I never. And I don't know to me, it's never acceptable for an officer to touch a subject once he's in cuffs. Period.
And what are they? What are they waiting for? What are the cops hoping to see from him to stop the assault? You know what I mean? Like at that point, what is your end goal? Because if you watch the video, again, I posted it in chat. If you watch the video, he is not resisting, with the exception of the moment he tries to break away from the officers after the other cop is beating him with a baton for no reason. And I don't care what political persuasion you are, I don't care what color you are. If you can watch that part of the video and not understand why he wanted to get the hell out of there when he's getting beat with a baton for no reason, and you're going to tell me that you would just stand there and take it if it were you, you're a damn liar.
Well, that's part of my point of contention about this, is that as an American, as a human being, At what point do you say your brain recognizes you're unarmed and you're being beaten by 4 or 5 people that have all the control and all the power over you? Like you'd see in a bad movie, right? Like a medieval movie. Oh, the sheriff sent in his goons. The goons have all the power of the sheriff's law behind him, right? Or the Lord or whatever. And so what can you do? What could he do other than take that beating, run away? But he knows if he runs away, he's going to get shot. So literally, if you're him, there was nothing for him to conceivably do but then to lay down and take that beating. What else was he going to do?
Yeah.
And listen, I want to respond to what Heidi said. Heidi said Kevin needs to watch the other videos, body cams. It sounds like, again, there's nothing the body cams are going to show me. Okay, because I'm watching a different camera angle from a high angle, and I can see.
Well, Philip's kind of calling you out. He says he was resisting arrest.
I just posted the video. If you could please watch the video and tell me where you think he's resisting arrest.
Well,
and
he's saying beating for no reason, ? Other than resisting arrest. The baton looked to be directed at his arms like they're trained. Oh, well,
But-
I mean, if his arms got beat to a pulp, I guess he could still bleed to death.
He was on the ground.
He was cuffed.
He was on the ground and cuffed and not moving. Again, I'm not saying the officers didn't have room for force earlier in the issue, and he did run. So okay, I'm not debating any of that. But in the video, and if they had stopped then, dude lives, he goes to court, he faces trial, and he gets to answer for whatever they say he did or whatever, right? But in the video I posted, which is at the end, is where I would say they definitely crossed a line. Because at that point, he is restrained. He is on the ground on his knees. He is not making any moves of any way. Watch the video. And that big-ass cop comes up and starts beating him from behind with the collapsible baton. And anything that happens after that, guys, I believe this. Anything that happens after that is completely understandable. And what I find curious, conservatives and Republicans, is most of you are all about standing up to the government and standing up against overreach and standing up against oppression and standing up against the government overextending its boundaries. This is a clear example when they had him on the ground of the government overextending its boundaries, overexerting its force, and a good number of you like, well, he ran. Really?
Kevin, your gold is showing.
No, I'm not. It's
your gold is showing.
I will do some more research before Wednesday's show, the local one that we do. I just, if I watch this video, again, I'm not arguing what happened before this. Okay, maybe use of force was justified. Maybe all of it was called for. Maybe the pepper spray and the tasing and all that was called for. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Okay.
Well, if he ran, it leads to reason that it's entirely possible.
So here's
but what I'm saying is on this video that I just watched.
Listen, I get that, Kevin,
nothing.
but that's the second video.
I know.
Okay. And on the first video, which I'm playing right here, which I can link and send to you.
Please do.
When they pull him over, it's in the middle of the road, and there's 3 cops, 3 cop cars. They've got 2 of the cops have guns drawn, and the third one goes up, opens the door, and pulls him out of the car. There's nothing on video to show
the blue one.
The blue one's his.
There's nothing on the video that shows the offense, the driving offense, but he was apparently pulled over for reckless driving. And so when you see this happen, the whole situation from the outset, there seemed to be no de-escalation by the police officers. None. And it escalated before they even removed him from the car. And they immediately take him directly to the ground.
And why would you do that on a reckless driving traffic stop? This wasn't a guy that was alleged to have been involved in any violence or a drive-by shooting or excessive speeding or drunk driving. This was a reckless driving traffic stop. But where in the name of Jesus Christ do these cops get off by handling a reckless driving traffic stop by descending upon his car with their vehicles drawn and somebody yanking him out of the car? That in and of itself is a flaw.
Unless he ran.
But he didn't run before then.
What we don't know what point
the
that
cops
video
never
was taken.
said he was evading or
Yeah,
anything else. They just said it was reckless driving.
And there was never a complaint made on their CB or their walkies or whatever that they were in pursuit.
Okay. So that part of it, I'm woefully, uninformed.
And listen,
on.
if you're the cops, this is why, as Kevin has pointed out, you got no excuse for not using your body cams all the time.
Yeah.
Because those cops apparently don't have any proof that he did anything out of the ordinary other than maybe he was speeding or whatever. Like they said, just reckless driving, right?
And
Could have been driving over a curb or something. Who knows?
I love the conservatives that are out there. Well, you shouldn't resist. Blah, blah, blah. You cannot tell me that if you got pulled over by cops and their response is to ascend on the car on your vehicle with their guns drawn, and one of the cop grabs you and yanks you out of the car, that you're gonna just take it, because you're not. You're going to complain, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I haven't done anything. What did I do that deserved that? You would resist, because it's human nature. You're afraid for your life.
You're going to defend yourself.
Everything that he did, I will say this, everything he did after they yanked him out of the car, I think is justified on his part. I think he had every right to be terrified. I think he had every right to be scared. Some of it is because of the fear that the media peddles about that African-American youth should be totally afraid of cops all the time. I think that's part of it. But the other part of it is the officers were incoherently wrong at the outset of the stop.
Listen, I'm not going to judge these police officers for what they did when they caught up to his car. Why? Because I didn't see what led up to that. But that's their fault. No. Their cameras weren't on.
Outlaw Radio, top of the hour here. For those of you listening nationally, check us out, outlawradionetwork.com. For those of you listening locally, we're back after this.
He's so out of breath.
See, he's on the ground. I don't know. Hold on. I want to respond to something Robert said. Robert said, you wrongly without merit branded Republicans and conservatives. It's like saying all Dems are property damaging commies. Shame on you. Well, most left-leaning Dems are property damaging commies. Just ask Emily Randall, who supported the damaging of the signs in Gorst.
Did I just hear that right? So the word conservative is just as bad as property?
Yeah. Listen, here's the deal. Nobody on the left is defending this. Nobody. For two reasons.
What do you mean nobody on the left?
Nobody on the left. Nobody on the left is defending the police officers, and for two reasons.
Of course not.
For two reasons. One, I don't think you can defend it. But two, it backs their narrative. It backs their political narrative. Okay. So the only people that are standing up for the officers saying that are probably, I'm guessing, conservatives. Now, not all conservatives are going to back them, and not all Republicans are wrong. That's not what I said. But let's be intellectually honest. There is no Democrat out there going, save the cops. The cops were right. They're not, because it backs their narrative. Okay. So I don't see anybody defending the police officers besides those who are strong supporters of police, which, let's be honest, are Republicans and conservatives, who are generally strong backers of our police, as they should be.
Well, what are you trying to
I'm just responding to Robert's comment about why I mentioned Republicans.
But your comments were, to his point, your comments were very, you mean you did kind of just, like when I made a comment, I said my Republican and conservative friends that I've seen make the comments on Facebook, like I'm quantifying who I'm talking to and why, but you were just making kind of a blanket statement. So
I was, yeah.
You're not trying to say all Republicans and conservatives are X, Y, and Z. We just need to help you find a better vocabulary.
Better vocabulary. That's probably true. Robert
Lori's-
said, "Did you take a poll?" Come on, Robert. Robert, you know as well as I do that there's no Democrats out there that are defending what happened, and they aren't because it doesn't fit the political narrative. It just doesn't. I also believe two things. I believe that 90% of conservatives and Republicans are going to call this out for the crap that it is and ask for the officers to be dealt with accordingly. I believe that most conservatives and Republicans are going to see that. I also believe that 99.5% of all police officers are really, really good people that would never let this shit happen under their watch. So this is not anti-cop and this is not anti-Republican or conservative.
No, and listen, you're correct, but I can't escape one overwhelming fact.
What's that?
I saw 8 cops. The end of this video, there were 8 cops there as that young man's bleeding and dying on the ground. There's multiple EMTs and healthcare professionals, and it took 20 minutes before any one of them stepped up to help him.
About that yet.
So my problem is that, of course, most cops are good cops.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there were 8 of them there. Are all 8 of them bad? Because none of them got off their asses and went over and helped that kid laying on the ground bleeding to death.
And that tells me there's a culture in the Memphis Police Department. There's a culture that encourages this, and it's permeated to EMTs, maybe the fire, all the police. Yeah. I think you're going to have to clean house down there.
It goes.
I think it starts with the police chief and goes down. Tom?
I think it goes back to that culture of the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, power, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
30 seconds.
I think there's a culture thing that maybe somebody is good in that, but they don't want to be the next one on the ground.
Yep. All right, we'll come back. Outlaw Radio.
Greed, deception, abuse of power, that's no plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy that just sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer weed.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Outlaw Radio, final hour of the show. If you're curious what we're talking about during the break, Tom is giving us a libertarian lesson. Tom's libertarian segment brought to you by the color gold.
I'm still waiting for him to wrap it all up in nice paper, put a bow around it, and explain why.
Turn that sideways and shove it up here.
And explain to us all why, if it works so well, why libertarians are consistently getting their asses kicked. I'm like, these are the perennial losers. These are the Chicago Cubs of politics.
Yeah.
Totally. Yep. Every time the libertarians get on stage to do a debate, the collapse is televised.
What debate?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Oh, yeah. Because we saw how well Gary Johnson did the last time they had a chance to ask some questions on a national stage.
What's Aleppo?
I mean, I knew what Aleppo was, and I wasn't running for office. Hey, there's a really fun article, guys.
I knew what Aleppo was.
Do we want to continue
preparing
this
for an enema
conversation about Memphis, or are we put that away? Are we done with that? Do we have
I
anything else you wanna do with
think we got to put that away because it can get kind of it can get in depth, and it can get heated. You were starting to get pretty upset there, Kevin. I thank you for wiping the tears from your face. And Tom, you got to stop busting on Kevin so hard, man. He's trying. Okay, he's trying. All right, everybody, chill out. We all good? Deep breath.
Paul,
watch
do you have
out
an
for
extra
Andy because
$10?
she's really on a warpath.
You have an extra $10, Paul?
No.
The San Antonio Zoo will let you name a cockroach after your ex and feed it to an animal for $10.
I could go to the
That's
feed
fun.
store and buy one for $2.99.
I'm just saying, the San Antonio Zoo is offering a special Valentine's Day greeting for exes who just won't bug off. For $10, the zoo will name a cockroach after your not-so-special someone and feed it to an animal, a cold but direct message that you're no longer interested. The annual Cry Me a Cockroach fundraiser, I've never said the word cockroach so many times in a segment, will support the zoo's vision.
But you'll say bukkake.
Of securing, his name is Pete Bukkake, a future for wildlife in Texas and around the world, according to the zoo. Those not into bugs can choose a vegetable for $5 or a rodent for $25 instead.
I have a ball python at home. I think I should do this. Like every month when it's time to feed my snake, I need to name the rat after.
Please name one Jessica.
Your microphone's not on.
Okay.
It was perfect.
Please go ahead.
But the
when we get a divorce, that's how I'm going to do it. Just so you know. I'm going to get a cockroach, name it Kevin, and feed it to whatever I'm feeding it to.
You already did that, didn't you?
By the way,
I heard you made a little doll that you keep with you in your satchel, and you stick pins in it. And the doll's name is Kevin, like a minion.
That's what every good wife does.
So the most common names right now for the feedings?
Kevin.
No.
Oh.
Zach, Ray, and Adam.
Oh, Adam, for sure.
Adam for sure.
I've got two.
I heard that. I heard one of them was a Buckeyes fan. All right.
No, they're firemen.
Firemen? You dated a fireman?
I almost married one.
Just all right.
They're good with hoses.
That's I mean,
giggity.
Unless they're old.
Giggity. Hey, listen, there's a really fun article on CNN I want to share to you, and the reason I'm sharing it is because it has Washington's own Patty Murray in it.
Uh-oh.
Here's what it says.
Just a picture of her, or did she say something again?
Listen, it says, "We are at the table. Meet the history-making women controlling the most powerful levers of government." So it talks about Susan Collins. It talks about Patty Murray. It talks about Shalonda Young. And it talks about Kay Granger of Texas. And Representative Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut. And these are all women that are going to be kind of in key positions within the Senate.
Yes, but some of them will have more power than the others.
Yes. I actually don't have an issue with celebrating women reaching layers of power within the Senate that they've never had before. I mean, I think that's a good thing, right? I think it's good that we can celebrate these things. I feel somewhat tainted that I think that a lot of this stuff was done for pomp and circumstance. Like they were picked because they were women, maybe not because they were the best candidates. Much like
you mean like the president literally said?
Well, no, but that was the Supreme Court pick. I'm talking about.
That was with his vice president too.
Yeah, but I'm talking about these.
What is it that you're talking about celebrating, bud?
Well, no, I think acknowledging that women have never served these positions before, and now they have the opportunity to. I think that's something to be.
But
celebrated.
they have served in those positions before.
Patty Murray has never held this position
as an individual.
A woman has never held president of the Senate, right?
What? Plenty of times.
Woman has?
Didn't she just take over for what's
Nancy
her head?
Pelosi?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No,
Pelosi was in the House.
Yeah,
they're
Pelosi
talking
was in the
about the
House.
Senate.
Who I don't see anything here to celebrate. I'm that's why I'm asking you because I don't get it. I don't. Nancy Pelosi picked Patty Murray, if I recall.
Yeah,
correctly.
she was the first female Senate pro tem. Yeah, so she was the first female to be Senate President pro tem. So that's
okay.
Let's just acknowledge it for what it is. I don't think we spend like months celebrating.
Let me ask you a question. Is it relevant to us in any way? I don't know the answer. How is it relevant?
I think it's relevant because again, it's another example of getting rid of the division that says women have never held these positions. Here's one that does, and then I think you can put it away. It's like Barack Obama, who was president, when he got inaugurated into the White House.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a really cool moment to say, look. An African-American man is finally ascended to a place where he's able to show that a black man can be elected president. And I think to communities that mattered a great deal to African-American communities. But after he's in office, let's say the first month, okay, let the novelty go away. The celebration goes away. Now you focus on what they're doing. Patty Murray, the first female Senate pro tem, cool, that gets a week.
But what?
Celebrate it for a week and then expect her to do her job. You don't talk about it forever.
And we still don't have women as president.
Well, no, because the only woman that the party really tried to push was an evil, corrupt carpetbagger named Hillary Clinton.
Hey, I voted for Joe Jorgensen.
Yes,
and
but she
lost.
had no shot.
Yeah.
She had no shot because she was a libertarian.
I guess I'm trying to figure
Just
out.
saying.
You're like, we need to celebrate this stuff. All right. What are you going to do to celebrate it? And then what difference is it going to make that any of this stuff gets celebrated? We're still a relatively young country, compared to the whole rest of the planet.
No, I agree.
And so we're going to constantly have people doing things for the, if I ascend, run for office and end up becoming the president, and you go, thank God we finally have our first Polish American president. I mean, it's when's it going to end? Hold on. Just say, hey, congratulations. You got elected. You're in this position. Cool. Move on.
I think you being elected president would be a bigger deal than a woman getting elected president. Because everyone
would be the first person with an IQ under 100.
Polacks are stupid. That's what everybody assumes.
Yeah.
That's the joke, right? But listen, I think it's fitting to have a moment.
Charge Nazi tanks, dude, on horseback.
I think it's fitting to have a moment where you acknowledge this is the first. Because whether you accept it or not, Paul, it matters to certain groups. It does matter to women when you can say it, when little girls can see this is new. This is something a woman's never done before, and you're alive to see it. And I think,
are you still telling your daughters there are things they can't do because women have never done them?
No.
Neither is anybody else.
No.
So there goes the relevance. What, Andy? You're raising your hand. What is it?
I see relevance.
I can get a man too. What? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I see relevance. Hold on.
I know you're with Kevin. We all know it. Okay.
I see relevance.
Okay.
In a short-term way. Like, I don't think it has to be made relevant forever. It doesn't deserve a parade, but I think it does deserve to be acknowledged. And then once it's acknowledged, it's put away.
Okay, so it's been acknowledged.
So now we put it away.
So why are people still talking about it like it's monumental?
That's why I brought this up.
Yeah, it's like
because we
dude, it was done an hour after everybody figured out, oh, she's the first female pro tem. Moving on.
You didn't even know that she was the first female pro tem.
Because I don't care.
Because you're not a woman.
Like, it literally makes no difference.
I'm a woman and I don't care.
Like, it makes no difference to anyone on planet Earth that she's in that position in the Senate. I don't even think it matters to her because she didn't want it.
Hold on. I think it should matter, and here's why.
Okay.
Because she is the absolute worst woman in the Senate to be the first female Senate pro tem. Patty Murray is.
That's really kind of the opposite, though, of the whole article.
Hold on.
And if the stars align wrong, she could be in Joe Biden's office.
She's fourth in line.
Fourth in line.
Yeah, if the stars align wrong.
She could be. You think she'll wash the dress afterward? I don't know. Just saying. I had to say it.
Remember that show, Designated Survivor?
Yeah.
If she's ever the designated survivor, I'm heading to Canada.
No,
do you think she takes her dentures out?
Wow.
Sorry. Somebody had to ask.
But no,
I mean, she puts them in a little thing next to the bed at night. They get clean. Plop, fizz, fizz.
I find validity when new things happen. When the first Native American is elected to the White House, if I'm alive to see it, which I won't be, but if it happens, then I'm going to think that's cool. I mean, it's going to be cool for about 20 minutes, and then we go back to normal. And that's what we don't do. We take it, and then it becomes a banner that she will carry her entire time in the Senate pro tem.
Are you sure a Native American could ever get elected as president? I mean, don't you have to be born in this country? I love you, man. Folks, it's a joke. It's a joke, okay? It's a joke.
Every time a white man complains about border security, Native Americans just shake their head and cry a little bit. Anyway, so I'm very sad. Oh, hold on. I'm very happy that we can, for a moment, acknowledge the new contributions women are able to give in these high positions of power. I'm very disappointed of the women that I find in those positions.
Speaking of the women that you find in those positions,
women in positions.
I was trying to avoid that.
Really, if y'all could see the look Kevin's wife just gave me.
I don't have a filter. I ain't got a filter.
Andy is looking at me right now like I just ran over her dog.
Andy, how long does our marriage
That's a Buckeye.
last? That's the question. How long does our radio marriage last? 8 months, days, weeks, years? What are you thinking?
I think until the rest of us decide you're divorced. It's the only way to keep the two of you in line.
How are you feeling about the relationship today? Can we get a relationship barometer reading? Is it trending upwards, trending downwards, or holding steady? For the radio marriage, how's it
Andy, you
going?
got to talk, Andy.
I'm thinking.
You got too long.
I'm thinking.
You got to talk. Can't have dead air.
Dead air.
Dead air.
Dead air.
Dead air. Dead air. Dead air.
Can I say
Well, as Kevin always says, you're a woman of few words. All right.
Remember, ladies, if you keep the bar low, I'll never disappoint you. All right, go ahead, Paul.
This is why Kevin's my hero. He always tells me all throughout life, it's better to aim too high and miss, Paul. Just keep aiming high. It's okay to keep missing. It's fine.
That's right.
Just go out and collect the arrows after you've shot them. Speaking of women and politics,
yes,
I firmly believe that we are seeing the emergence of a Republican woman who is throwing her hat in the ring. She specifically said this weekend, you don't have to be an 80-year-old dude to run for president.
Who said that?
Nikki Haley. Yeah.
God, Nikki Haley is a curious candidate, isn't she?
I got a ton of respect for her. I do. What are you saying? She's wishy-washy? You're doing the whole, yeah? You think she's just because she's political?
Sorry, Tom. I think that she is all in on the military industrial complex. She's a war hawk, but otherwise, other things, she is wishy-washy, one thing and then the other. And, to my unknowing, I don't know everything about her. So maybe she's changing her mind. Maybe she's come up with new research or new information, and that's why she appears to be wishy-washy.
Okay.
But she is a major war hawk.
So I'm going to push back just for a second. She served as our spokesperson for the UN,
right,
under the Trump administration. And Trump didn't get us into any new conflicts. In fact, he pulled us out of places around the world. So
one of the few times in his life he's pulled out.
Even with that as part of her resume. Even with that as part of her resume, you still feel that she's a war hawk, and that's that. I mean, I accept that that's your opinion. I can't really counter that because I haven't followed everything that she has said foreign policy.
Heidi Hot Sauce agrees with you too, by the way.
Okay. So we have the impression by other women that she is a war hawk. No, I don't want to say anything. I just want to respect that opinion. I'll do some research because I just want to find out some more. Because I have no reason to doubt what you're saying. I'm curious about that.
Here's what she said earlier this month. She said, we need to go in a new direction. And can I be that leader? Yes, I think I can be that leader. I've never lost a race. If that doesn't say, hello, I'm running, I don't know what does.
Yeah, you know what would be a hell of a powerful combo?
Her and DeSantis?
Her and DeSantis. Hell of a powerful combination, I feel, right there.
DeSantis and Kristi Noem.
Another very powerful combo. Yep.
I think Haley's a better pick for DeSantis because DeSantis doesn't have any international experience.
Well, Nikki Haley delivers Mississippi too.
And and she has international experience because of her time with the UN.
Yep.
And that would balance the ticket out a little bit. And let's be honest, one of the biggest knocks in the Republican Party on presidential elections is they do not go diverse. They always run really old white guys. So this would be DeSantis, who he's Latino, correct? What's his nationality? Is he Latino?
I thought he was Italian.
I thought he was Italian.
Just tan.
He's just tan.
But I could be wrong. I haven't looked it up.
Yeah, I know.
He's
He lives in
DeSantis.
Florida.
Well, DeSantis made me think it was Latino, but I'm just guessing by the last
That's
name.
profiling.
Yeah.
Never assume someone's gender, Kevin.
Hold on. I'm
Or
going to
their
look.
racial
Well, no, because
profile.
DeSantis is one word. It's not DeSantis. That's what got me. It says he's American. Thank you very much. Thank you, Google. It says he's American. But to have a female like Nikki Haley would allow the Republicans a little more of leverage on that. We're a more inclusive party. It takes away any advantage that the Biden administration had in nominating Kamala. I don't even know what I'm doing here, Harris. So I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Kamala.
I love Kristi Noem. I absolutely love Kristi Noem. If Kristi Noem was the candidate for the Republican Party for president, I'm voting for Kristi Noem. I don't think she's ready. She runs a state with a minuscule budget, very few issues. She doesn't have really much pushback from Democrats in South Dakota because it's South Dakota.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to deal with a whole bunch of political like upheaval and stuff like she'd get if she went to DC.
She doesn't have the profile.
No, I'd like to see her run for Senate.
Yeah.
Get out of the governor's office and run for Senate.
Mhm.
You know, but that's just
What
me.
about Tulsi?
I love Tulsi, but now she doesn't even have a home.
What do you mean? Oh,
She's not a Democrat.
Yeah,
She's not a Democrat anymore. So the Democratic Party's not going to get behind her. And there's enough Republicans that still don't trust her because she's been a Democrat for so long.
Right.
The Republican Party's not going to get behind her. Maybe this third party thing comes to fruition, but unlike our friend Black Tom, I don't believe any third party has a shot in hell in the rest of my lifetime to win the White House.
You really got to
you
get off
don't
the
think
racial thing
Yang?
with Tom.
Yeah. So you don't think Yang is not gonna?
He's not gonna live that long.
Yang has the third party, whatever it's called, forward party. No, hold on. Let
Go
me
ahead.
finish.
Would you let a woman talk for once, Kevin? Let a woman talk.
Usually when they talk, it involves the words restraining order. Go ahead, Lori.
Kevin, I'm not going to lie, man. I love Kevin to death, but he just told me the other day the only words he likes hearing a woman say are whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh,
Go ahead,
man,
Lori.
Paul. Anyways, Kristen Sinema of Arizona, I believe, just dropped from the Democrat Party and has gone.
Yeah, she's gone independent. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm wondering if there's a bunch of undertones or inner workings with Yang's party that he's launched after the Democrat, whatever candidate failed for him. But the other part of it is, where does that leave Manchin? Because
Uncle Joe.
Manchin is also not a favorite of the Democrat Party.
Well,
And by the way, did anybody hear what Manchin did to Germany's whatever the head dude is? I forgot his
Schultz?
name. Yeah, Schultz. Chancellor.
I know nothing.
Chancellor,
That was Sergeant Schultz.
Yeah. Chancellor Schultz was complaining at Davos Economic World Forum last week about how U.S. automakers get it easy. They don't have all these tariffs and everything. Joe Manchin happened to be there and he Googled and said, you guys in Germany have a higher tariff than we do in the U.S. on auto.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So
Stuff is spinning. Yes.
Let me answer this a couple of ways. Manchin is untouchable because he is a Democrat in West Virginia. He is untouchable.
Why?
The people in West Virginia will continue to vote him in no matter what. He's reached that level like Norm Dix did in Washington, where just his name is enough. Voters will put him in no matter what.
His
the
first
fact that he's a
initials E.
What's that?
E.
E?
Norm Dix.
Oh, E. Norm Dix, yeah.
Stop.
Sorry. And the fact that he's in West Virginia and pushes back against the establishment just endeavors him to his constituents more. So I think in that district, he is untouchable. I don't think he could ever run for larger office anywhere else, but I think he'll stay there where he's at forever. As far as all the other names that you mentioned, you've got some really valid points. Here's the problem. I do not believe that unless you can get somebody with a really high draw, like an across the board draw where you're getting all ages, all demographics, like Barack Obama did, right? Knock Barack Obama as much as you want to, but he excited a lot of people in a lot of different demographics. Whites, Asians, Latinos, African Americans, old, young, men, women. Everybody was on the B-Rock bandwagon. All these different demographics turned out for it.
He spoke well.
Yeah.
Well, he spoke well. He came out like a visionary. There was a huge what did Babyface sing about the whip appeal? There was a huge just general appeal to him, right?
Yeah.
The Yang's merry band of misfit toys doesn't have any of those people. Yang is not that guy. Kristen Sinema's not that guy. Tulsi Gabbard was kind of that girl in the Democratic debates when she shredded Kamala Harris, but she hasn't really been since, and she needs to decide on a hair color because that whole patch in the front just throws me off. It throws me off. Like if she mugged me in the alley, what color hair did she have? Well, I don't know.
Kevin has daddy issues too.
I do not.
He doesn't like when people say daddy.
But I do not. Daddy is not an appropriate word for a woman to call a man in the bedroom. Quite frankly, it's weird and needs to stop.
Why?
I
just want to know why.
Anyway,
I like the whole I poppy thing. I mean,
you're a little old to be calling me daddy. Just call me dad. Anyway, listen.
Hey, wait.
My point is, the third party movement has to get somebody Obama-esque, not politically wise, but in mass appeal wise. And as long as they're rolling out kind of these again, Kristen Sinema has had a great run in Arizona. I think she's going to have a hard time getting reelected because she's not going to have the backing of a major party. I think Tulsi Gabbard has already shown that her star was fading anyway before she left the Democratic Party. I mean, she didn't even have a seat anymore, and she got embarrassed in the national discussion even after she shredded Kamala Harris. So let's not pretend that any of these guys or gals are the A-listers from their respective parties before they decided to jump ship. They were kind of C-listers at best, and then that's not what you need, Tom.
Give it time. I do think this is kind of a sign of times to come. I think people are getting tired of the nonsense of back and forth between blue and red, liberal and conservative.
But the problem is that recycling these dimwits that were part of the blue and red and then just calling them a different name.
No, those dimwits are going away because, like you said, they don't have backing anymore. But I think people are seeing that, okay, this D or this R is tired of the nonsense of their party that they're leaving because they're publicly leaving.
Right.
And that's going to send a message. I mean, the media covers it. People talk about it.
Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, I don't think anybody's going to get excited about these dimwits that just leave their party.
Not right now.
You have to get somebody who's new and infectious. I mean, this is like
easily
Abraham Lincoln.
happen in your lifetime.
This is like Abraham Lincoln. Remember, the Republican Party was nothing when Abraham Lincoln showed up.
Yep.
And was able to inspire
right
the change that he brought with him when he got elected president. Mm-hmm. Hold on, stick around, Outlaw Radio. We'll continue this.
I can play that.
Facebook. Heidi said, anytime a dude supports a political candidate, for those on the right, it's always an attractive lady. And the woman they are supporting aren't even Republicans at minimum. No, that's not true. I was a huge Obama supporter. And while a lot of you people think that his wife is a cross-dresser, he's not. I was a huge Obama supporter. I like Kristi Noem. I really do. She's a no-nonsense politician. She does good stuff in South Dakota. It's not because she's attractive, although she is, but that's not why I support her. Yeah, I mean, I support, I don't know. I have a hard time figuring out who in the Republican Party I would get behind at this point. Like, I still think DeSantis is a giant tool. I think he's I don't know if he has a giant.
Republican?
No, but I'm saying because right now, if my choice, my choice right now is Joe Biden against the field. And motherfuckers, I'm taking the field. There is no way I'm voting for Joe again, ever. It's not going to happen. If Trump runs, I'm voting for Trump. If it's DeSantis, I'm voting for DeSantis. Right. If it's three chimpanzees, I'm voting for all three of them. Anybody but Joe, I will not vote for Joe Biden again.
You're not even going to look. You're not even going to entertain third party.
No, because it's a wasted vote.
It's not a wasted vote.
It's a You know why it's a wasted vote?
Not
because it's one vote that could not be used to get Joe out of office.
But it's one vote that can begin to bolster another party
but it won't get Joe out of office, which is the most.
But it won't. Right now, it's the most important thing to me is to get Joe out of office.
That's a piece of cake. That's going to happen.
You think so?
Yeah.
You know why I don't believe you?
Why?
Because I'm on Facebook. I can say this. Republicans masturbated furiously over the midterms. They thought for sure that they were going to take over everything. The House, the Senate, they were going to have this big giant red wave, okay? And they touched themselves inappropriately the entire time they talked about it.
Yep.
And then they got to the midterms, and what happened?
They screwed
Donald Trump fucked them.
Yeah.
And the abortion debate screwed them.
Yes.
They just had their
And so in 2 years, do I have any
30
faith
seconds.
that the American voter are going to forget those two things when it comes to, I don't think so at all. I thought it was a foregone conclusion Joe was gone. Don't think it anymore. Republicans have got to motivate to get away from those two issues or they're doomed.
No, they just need to change their, they need to change their message.
No more talking about touching yourself. We're back after this.
Kevin, you're the only one talking about touching yourself.
This is Spike Cohen, the reigning and defending Libertarian vice presidential candidate, and you're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
You know what I want? When we get Spike Cohen on the show again, I wanted to cut a new promo for us that says, finally, Spike has come back to Outlaw Radio. That'd be great. I'd love that. Hey, by the way, Dennis, can I get breaking news music? Do you have that handy? Breaking news music brought to you by Black Ring Spirits, located in the Town Square Shopping Center. Black Ring Spirits. If you're not getting drunk with Black Ring, you're getting drunk wrong. Breaking news, Heidi and I actually agreed on something. Heidi Hot Sauce and I agreed that Trump did F the Republicans in the midterms. Makes me happy. Me and Hot Sauce finally agreed on something. This is how we form a new basis of our friendship.
That's how it all starts.
There you go.
It'll be destroyed again next week.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Just give me time to say one thing positive about a Democrat, and it'll all end in flames. Heidi also said Trump isn't even a Republican. Democrats weren't going to support him, so he jumped to the Republican side. That's probably true. Yeah. However, I'll tell you this right now. If the November 2024 election is Trump against Biden, I'm voting for Trump. If the 2024 election is Trump against Gavin Newsom, I'm voting for Trump.
Jeez.
If it's DeSantis against Biden, I'm voting for DeSantis. If it's DeSantis against Gavin Newsom, I'm voting for a kumite, like blood sport. Let's just put him in a cage. No, I'm voting for DeSantis. There's not a lot of Democrats right now that I could get behind voting for, and none of them have a chance in the party that I would. So I'm probably going to vote Republican for president no matter what now in 2024. And I swear to God, if Kamala Harris runs for president,
then you're voting.
It'll be a trounce, man. It'll be a trounce. She will get destroyed. Because as unlikable as Joe Biden has turned into, he looks like Mr. Rogers compared to Kamala Harris. Although I can see Joe Biden sitting in the Oval Office, changing his shoes and his sweater. What are you pointing at?
You hand me that box of tissues?
Oh, are you crying?
No, I just pulled up. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. I thought you'd see it coming, so you'd catch it. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It landed where I needed it. I just pulled.
What'd you do?
I pulled a sliver out of my arm.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah,
you
I'm
dying
fine.
over there?
No, it's
we need
just...
an EMT?
No.
Somebody give me the number for 911. Heidi said vote Republican for the legislature. I got to see some candidates, man.
My chat's all out of whack again, like it was last time. So I'm missing all the comments.
I was very excited about Tiffany Smiley. I hope that she runs again. I really do.
Yeah.
For something on a national level, I really like Tiffany Smiley. Elizabeth Kreiselmeyer, I just nothing. She nice lady.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if I felt like she had the chutzpah to do it. I just didn't really. I wasn't sure. Tiffany Smiley, I absolutely loved and I voted for, and I'd vote for her again. I thought she'd have been perfect.
No, I voted for both those ladies.
So. And a veterans advocate at that, I'd have been great to see her in there. The problem is that Elizabeth Kresselmeyer was running against Derek Kilmer. And really, I think a log would be better at this point than Derek Kilmer.
I was going to say, what has Derek Kilmer done?
Nothing.
He shows up for the occasional photo ops. Hey,
Right.
if you want to find Derek Kilmer, you know what you do?
Set up a photo op.
You go somewhere where there's going to be a lot of news media, like the 9/11 ceremony. He shows up at that thing every couple years just so he can get his photograph with the 9/11 memorial in Bremerton, and then he trounces back to his home wherever it is or his DC office. You don't hear from him again. The dude doesn't even campaign.
Yeah, that's
He
a
did show up at
problem.
my door when I was in Tacoma, before I moved to my new place.
I wish Tiffany Smiley, I wish Tiffany Smiley lived in his district because I think she could give him a run for his money. I think Tiffany Smiley could beat Derek Kilmer. If she was in that district, I think Tiffany Smiley would win it.
Tiffany Smiley should have beat Patty Murray.
No, I don't think she should have. I mean, I would have liked for her to. But given the dynamic of this side of the state,
I don't think the message was done right.
Oh, I think her message was flawless, man. Standing outside of the old Starbucks building that they had to close because of the unrest in Seattle and saying, "This is what Patty Murray has given you."
Well,
that ad campaign
that
was
worked well. Yeah,
and her standing outside of the Tacoma Dome and the homeless and all of those were perfect, man. I don't know why it didn't catch on with more people. When you stand outside of the old Starbucks that's now closed because it's just unsafe. Like, I think that should resonate.
Because Starbucks threatened to sue her campaign.
Well, why would Starbucks sue the campaign?
And so did Seattle Times, because she was using a Seattle Times article or something like that, and she was standing in front of a business without permission and blah, blah, blah.
But the building's closed.
No, I understand.
The signs are down. And
the sign was still up.
Okay. And the Seattle Times is a matter of public record. That's why when you die, they got to put a death notice in the paper. That's why when somebody owes money and they want to make a default settlement against them and they can't find them, they put in the classified ads because newspapers are public record. You don't get to sue the campaign because she used a quote from your newspaper. Please listen, Tiffany Smiley, you can quote Outlaw Radio whenever you want to. I will not complain. Yeah. Anyway, what we're talking about now.
Did we lose Paul?
I think we lost him. I think we lost him. So you know what we should do? Hold on. Is my laptop hot, Dennis?
Uh-oh.
Dennis.
Hey, G.
He's working on something back there feverishly. All right, we won't worry about it right now. All right. Hold on, let me go back to this. So I was hoping Paul would be back in here for this. We were going to talk about what was going on in Ukraine. So I'm going to hold off on that.
Did you get to see the football games?
I did not see any of the football games. I did listen to some of them on the radio today. I would like to thank you if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan or player or coach or owner. And I know the Eagles love this show. The Philadelphia Eagles listen to this show. We literally in Philadelphia have millions and millions of fans just in the state of Pennsylvania alone. Thank you for kicking the crap out of the 49ers, man. The only thing I would have liked better would have been if the Seahawks had done it or if the Seahawks were still playing, which they're not. But anytime the 49ers get their asses handed to them on national television, it just makes me happy.
It was a proper whooping.
Proper whooping. We're not going to pick football games tonight either. We know that it's Kansas City and Philadelphia in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give a week for things to settle out, wait for any injured player updates or whatever. And next weekend, we will make our picks between Kansas City and Philadelphia. Philly is, by the way, the favorite right now. It's Philly.
Yeah, it's just by a couple points, though. Isn't it?
It's not by much.
Yeah,
not by much.
I don't know, man. Patrick Mahomes surprised me. I was sure that game was going to go to Cincy just because of that high ankle sprain. That guy's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
I saw him hobble like twice. Otherwise, he just bounced around and moved like no big deal.
Joe Burrow outplayed him today. mean, Joe Burrow played better than he did today.
He did,
but the Chiefs team as a whole played better than the Bengals,
Yeah.
and that was the deciding factor. I love Joe Burrow. He's a cocky bastard. He really is cocky. I think it's great.
I think
Go Ohio State.
Well,
yes, he
No.
claims that he still claims Ohio State.
but where did he play his final year of college?
LSU.
LSU. Why? Because he couldn't get on the field at Ohio State. They weren't even smart enough to play him.
He calls himself a Buckeye.
Well, there you go. Paul's coming back in studio. So, Paul, let's spend a little bit of time getting into what happened in Russia and Ukraine.
While you were there.
What's that?
While he was there.
While he was there, because you spent the last several weeks in Ukraine
on assignment.
on assignment, getting a feel for the situation on the ground, trying some of that wonderful borscht.
I flew into Poland.
Yeah, flew into
Caught
Poland.
the train.
Yeah, flew into Poland. Man, your arms are tired.
It's true.
How big was Germany's decision last week to go ahead and send tanks?
Well, first thing for everybody to understand, because this is a big misconception. First of all, the 31 M1 Abrams tanks that have been agreed to by the Biden administration, and let me take a slight step back from that. We have pre-positioned all around the world military equipment, devices, gear, stuff like that. Germany alone has a battalion worth of M1 tanks that are just sitting there to be used in the event of combat. It would take them, if they so chose, a matter of a few days, pull those tanks out, gear them up, equip them, put them through their PMCS, and ship them off to the combat zone. Preventive maintenance checks and services.
Thank you.
Maintenance, people, maintenance. However, the Biden administration is clear that when the tanks arrive sometime in the next 6 to 8 months, they'll be ready to go. I do not know what the timeline looks like for the Challenger and or for the Leopard tanks. Leopard tanks and the Leopard 2s are German tanks. The Challenger tanks are British. Pretty consistently, the M1 tanks during we have like games, competitions between the Brits, the British tanks, the American tanks, the German tanks, stuff like that.
How many are we sending?
31.
How many do the Russians have?
It's varying guesses, but I've seen guesses when the war started of around 8,000. However, some estimates have been as high as 13,000. But the thing to remember is Russia counts all of its tanks that were made in the 40s all the way up to currently.
Oh, okay.
And so,
how many are left?
Well, it is estimated. So
estimated numbers.
It's really important to know that in Ukraine, they use technology. They use photographs, pictures, and video to identify every vehicle destroyed in Ukraine. The Ukrainians do. So they estimate, and they're pretty accurate. So you can figure that they're good within a few dozen. They estimate close to 3,000 tanks have been destroyed by Ukrainians, which is a great deal. As a nation, we have, I believe it was around 4,500. So you can see, but when you and it's something important to keep in mind. The M1 Abrams tank is so incredibly superior. During Desert Storm, the Battle of 73 Hastings was a battle where a battalion of M1 Abrams tanks, 64 tanks, came online, one straight line, maximum firepower to the front, and fought against the Hammurabi Division, which was the elite division of Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard.
We call them Boy Scouts in the United States.
The United States tanks engaged at nap of the earth, right? So basically out past their max distance. They got a range of about 4 miles. They actually engaged further out than that. And what had happened is by the time that battle was over in 15 minutes, no U.S. tank had been destroyed and one infantry fighting vehicle had been destroyed. The Americans were just coming within range of the Iraqi vehicles. The Iraqi vehicles were all Soviet-made.
And all smoldering?
All of them.
Yep, I remember that.
And it's important to note that the Soviet rounds for the Soviet tanks did not penetrate the armor, the Chabam armor on the M1 tanks. It's a special kind of armor. It's very, very top secret. The only thing that's really public about it is that it is made of a honeycomb type of steel mixed with porcelain and some other materials to basically spread out the kinetic energy impact of a tank of a tank round. Now, Russia did say that if the American tanks see combat, they will consider it a nuclear attack. The reason they are making that really bold statement is because M1 Abrams tanks use a armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, depleted uranium round.
Mm-hmm.
Depleted uranium is one of the hardest substances known on Earth. It's also radioactive.
Yeah. Our A-10s use those too.
Yes,
the Warhawks.
We use them in the smaller 30-millimeter cannons.
Yep.
That you. The chain gun sound.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they will penetrate. They live, as the Iraqis unfortunately found out, of an armor-piercing, fin-stabilized Sable round will leave a hole about the size of a 50-cent piece going in, and a hole about 3 times wider on the backside coming out. It goes in with so much kinetic energy and force that when it comes out the backside, everything inside that tank that is not glued permanently and affixed will come out a pile of goo on the other side. It's like it creates a vacuum like in outer space.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen movies where a little hole goes through a spaceship and people get sucked out of it and just obliterated. That's what happens with the Sable round. So in Desert Storm, you would frequently find tanks that looked like they were intact. Then you'd find one little hole in them somewhere and you'd find a pile of goo on the backside.
That was the crew.
That was the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't know what hit you. So, look, it's a humane way to give your life for your country. Let's say that. The M1 Abrams proved so superior to the Soviet tanks that probably just 31 Abrams tanks would be enough to turn the tide of the conflict, because you've got a massive offensive weapon there. We did, not me personally, we as in the military found after that battle, that big tank battle, that in fact some of the Abrams were hit, and the darts, or their version of Sable rounds, were stuck in the armor of the M1 tanks.
Oops.
Yeah, didn't penetrate, just stuck and kind of hung there, like a sex toy somebody left at home. So, so anyway,
if you can identify with that, please
seek help.
Right. So
this segment brought to you by Castle Superstore.
There you go. So anyway, I have a great deal of confidence in the tanks. I was on them for 10 years. I saw the superiority in them. An M1 tank can survive a nuclear blast within a mile. So if it's within a mile of a nuclear blast, it can survive. It has a complete nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons defense system built into it, including an air filtration system and everything else. We used to turn the air filtration system on to use it as air conditioning. So it was, it's a pretty healthy system. The Leopard and Challenger tanks are equally as technologically up there. The Soviet tanks, it's like a varsity versus junior varsity, really.
Mm-hmm.
The M1 tanks do not have the vulnerabilities to the Javelins and other handheld missile systems that soldiers are using on the battlefield right now. We made the Javelins. Our allies made the other missile systems, and they were designed to take out Soviet tanks, not Western tanks, which have armored tops. Now, they're not as thickly armored as other vehicles, but we knew that our primary opponents as a tank, like the thing that we'd have to worry about the most, would be like the Mi-8 Hind helicopters, other aerial vehicles coming at the M1 tanks. So we armored them. They're not, the armor is only like 1.5 inches thick, but it's still thick enough to, do its job, versus, a Bradley uses 30 millimeter armor piercing mini Sable rounds that will pop the turret off of a Soviet tank like a zit on a bad hair day. It is something else. This stuff.
And really quick, I want to provide some context, because the reason why people should listen to you as you explain this is because you served in tanks in the Army. You have real world, real life experience serving on these things. So
I have lived experience.
What? I just want to put that in context for people to hear you talking about it. That when you speak about the advantages or disadvantages, because you've been in them, you've been trained in them,
right.
You've been trained about them. This was your life depended upon the
yes.
exteriors on these when you were serving.
I was actually, when Desert Storm came, I had just gotten out of boot camp. Like, I just was a qualified tanker. I had been out for maybe 2 months. Our tanks were painted. We were ready to go. And it was so short, I stayed on the bench like a reserve football player. I wanted to go, because I had felt that I had made this effort. I had been trained. It's like for my horse friends, it's like practicing for the rodeo for a long time, and then when it's time to ride in the rodeo, they tell you don't get to ride. That's what I felt like. But I was young, dumb, and full of So it was the natural thing to feel that way.
Yep.
And then, of course, after 9/11, I had a son, so it was a whole different story. But I have so much confidence in our armor corps compared to Soviet, and the doctrine is completely different, right?
Okay, but hold on. I'm interrupting because there's one thing I want to ask you about before we're done with the show today.
Go ahead.
Does the German decision to give tanks?
Yes.
Does it significantly impact the battle in Ukraine? Is it worth the risk of worsening the situation with the Russians? So it's like a two-part question.
Mm-hmm.
Does it change things, and does it further increase the risk of conflict between NATO and Russia?
Well, so Russia is effectively saying now, well, actually, let me take a step back. NATO said last week in one of their meetings, Tucker Carlson aired the segment, showed the comments where the NATO, the woman, I don't know where she's at in the NATO hierarchy, but she said openly in front of everybody, she says, as NATO, we must now admit to ourselves that we are at war with Russian Federation. Now, that's coming from somebody ranking within NATO. That's a big deal, I think.
Could that be her opinion as opposed to a direct stance of NATO?
So she, as a member of NATO, was making that statement within a meeting at NATO. So she wasn't taking a position as NATO or a position for the rest of the world. She was within the NATO command and control structure, stating for everyone else to hear, we, as in we NATO, have to acknowledge we are at war with the Russian Federation. So I think she was talking about the mindset more than anything. Now, I disagree with Tucker Carlson on many things. This is one of them. He doesn't believe that we should be really assisting Ukraine hardly at all. I don't believe that one bit. I think many of my Republican colleagues and friends, including Tucker Carlson, are of the mindset like you get cancer, take some herbs, and it'll go away. Russian Federation, Putin, they're a cancer. And if you don't get in and aggressively try to destroy that cancer, it will eat you alive. I would not want to see what this world would become had we left Ukraine to see what happens. I would not have wanted to see that. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the risk? What is the risk to peace in the world? Because by providing tanks, we have, well, what many people, myself included, refer to as we now have what we call mission creep. Okay, meaning that what the mission was, just assisting Ukraine so that Ukraine doesn't get wiped off the map, which is what we were doing. We've now given an offensive capability to Ukraine, and Ukraine has made it clear Russia will keep none of our territory, and we will reclaim Crimea.
Yep.
That's mission creep. That means it's creeping further and further out. And we all know that in Russia's laws, it states specifically that if their homeland or Russian territory is attacked, they can use nuclear weapons to defend it. And I firmly believe that Putin will do that because he believes that nobody wants to risk nuclear war. So if he uses one or two small-scale tactical nukes, yeah, he'll lose some ships, we'll attack some of his fleet and stuff like that, but he'll be able to sue for peace and may end up actually with the advantage. Now, he doesn't want to nuke Ukraine. It's a breadbasket. He needs the food. But he will certainly use a couple of tactical nukes, especially if that's what he thinks he needs to do to take out some columns of tanks.
And the other thing to keep in mind, too, is that this will not stop at Ukraine, right? There's Georgia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan,
Moldova. It's been made very clear. Just like we do here, Russian leadership leaks ideas and plans to their media, just like our politicians do, to test the waters. And he's made it very clear through his media personalities that he fully intends to take Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Moldova.
Well, keep in mind though that Moldova will be much easier because they're not part of NATO, right?
Correct.
And I don't think Estonia, Latvia, or
Moldova's
Lithuania,
the size of Kitsap Peninsula, man. It's a tiny little place.
Yeah. But I don't think the other three he even stands a chance, because that would be a direct interaction with NATO, which would
I
then
agree.
but Moldova, even is Romania part of NATO?
Here's you'd have to check that. I think that they are. I know Bulgaria is. I mean, that's where Hunter was stationed. The thought process, as is being released by Russian media members,
Romania is in NATO, by the way.
Is or isn't?
Is.
Okay.
As of 2004.
Part of his thought process is the world will not risk nuclear war over such small, insignificant countries. So his belief is that if we invade Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, that the rest of the world won't risk full-blown nuclear conflict with Russia just for those three little small countries. Well, look, there's no reason any leader or any group of people should ever trust any treaty with any other country if we don't defend and don't exercise Article 5 in defense of the countries that are members of NATO.
So all of this is, kind of presented or discussed like Putin is in good health and mental capacity.
Correct.
But I've been reading quite a bit lately. It almost sounds like he's kind of on his way out of.
Could be the case. Lori first brought that up 6 months ago, and I was completely caught up. I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah, well,
but now it seems like it's almost a foregone conclusion. Like people are openly talking about it, like he's got one foot in the ground. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was just recently reading, and so now the
Parkinson's, right? Is what they're saying.
I don't know. I don't know. Are you wearing the tinfoil hat, Lori?
Where's my hat?
And there's discussion of cancer too.
All right, hold on. And we're going to wrap with you now. Check us out, outlawradionetwork.com. Facebook, stay with us. We're going to wrap this, but we're not going to go very long. So I have one other question to ask Paul on an unrelated topic, and then we'll wrap this. So Outlaw Radio, AM, good night. Facebook, stay right there. We're back after this.
And you're just like,
what are you talking about?
Crop duster.
I haven't crop dusted this entire show. I mean, I
No,
can.
not today.
Okay. Really quickly on the subject of Putin, there was an article released on
Yeah,
Newsweek.
on the subject of Putin.
Putin. Tootin' Putin.
Rasputin.
Okay, so on the subject of Putin, there's an article released on January 5th on Newsweek that talks some more about some of the issues that they're hearing in briefings about him.
Yeah.
That include cancer, Parkinson's disease, and Budanov, which is Ukraine's military intelligence head, has said that they believe. Now, again, this could all be for positioning.
Yeah, because the truth is, nobody knows really for sure. I mean, some people do, but who knows?
They asked Budanov if he believed that Putin was terminally ill, and his reply was, "Of course." And then he said that they believe that he's been ill for a very long time. When asked when he would die, he responded back, "Very fast, I hope." So,
God bless Ukrainians and their sense of humor.
Yeah, so there is a belief that he might be, but again, this could also be Ukraine trying to prop itself up a little bit, give its people some hope. Look, Putin's going to die. We just got to hold out a little bit longer. Putin's dying. So
but who's going to replace him?
The head of the Wagner group, I believe.
Yeah, and that's better.
No, I think it'll be worse.
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree with you. I think that the Russians, we've heard rumors and talk in the backside that some of the Russians are getting tired of this. Some of the people within leadership under Putin are getting tired of this. This war is making them look bad. It's costing a lot of lives. Costing a lot of lives, costing a lot of equipment, a lot of military capital, and it's really shaken up their standing on the world leadership stage.
Because nobody fears their army now.
Right. I think that they might be ready to, if Putin goes, put someone in power who can go with a little more of a centrist view and try to get him out of there rather than the extreme kind of
I hope you're right. We haven't seen much of that in the way of the Russian people. As much as I enjoy the culture, I like the people. Their mindset is so much different than Americans. It's so much different. It's hard for us to wrap our head around. You know, I've got this Russian husband and wife that I follow. They put out videos once or twice a week sometimes. They're in their early 30s. They just had a daughter, and they just make these YouTube videos because they show people what everyday average life is like in America.
You mean Russia?
In Russia, yeah. And they are so, and all of these people from America are chatting with them in the chat rooms and stuff. So, oh, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. You're such wonderful people, and really feeding them this line. And every once in a while I pipe up and I'm like, look, you can be the nicest people in the world, but if you keep taking this stance that, well, it doesn't really matter, I can't do anything, whatever my government does, they do, no matter how evil it is, no matter how bad, whatever, I'm not going to worry about it. Well, it's that mentality that led to the deaths of millions of Jews. You can't go through life with this, well, what I can't do, I'm one person, what can I do about it? On anything.
Well, that's the difference between being a citizen of a very, very young country like the United States,
where we think we can actually do anything.
Yeah, because we did. I mean, the Boston Tea Party, right? I mean, that wasn't that long ago.
We crossed a frozen river in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve to murder a bunch of Germans in their drunken slumber.
Listen,
it's true. We did it.
I understand schematically what you're saying, Paul.
Yes.
But I think it is very tough for average people to feel like they can have an impact until you have an organized.
That's why you are
resistance.
correct.
Yeah.
They can't, but it's a mentality within the people.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Their mentality is, well, none of us can do anything. And so we just have to believe what we're being told by our government. And they're okay with it.
And listen, and the Russian people have been beat down for generations. I mean, this is and
they've allowed themselves continually to be treated
nationalistic, genetic, just abuse us.
Do you remember what Kanye West said about slavery? Oh, I'm so going to hell for this.
What?
He said 400 years sounds more like a choice. Just saying.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Tom, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to, I mean,
by the way, Kanye was a joke, but I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah, no.
Still is a joke. He is.
I mean, the history in Russia. I mean, Russia's been ruled by totalitarian leaders for a long
effectively
long time.
And if you go back in their history, you know where they came from, Tom. Who are they? Who started the actual country in?
Well, I mean, there's discussion that it could be Viking settlers.
Yeah, the Rus.
The
Rus Viking. Yeah.
So but I mean, when that's part of your culture, I mean, your culture, the populace has been beat down by the elites and the ruling class for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yep.
It's going to be part of your mindset.
Yeah.
All right. I want to pause this conversation. We'll get into it next time we talk. I want to ask you one other quick question, Paul. I want to spend a lot of time on it. But over the last, since the last time we've really had a chance to talk to you, multiple documents found in Biden's possession.
Mm-hmm.
Also, former Vice President Mike Pence was found to have some.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this all comes on the heels of the Mar-a-Lago discussion with Trump having some down there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It does point to be a larger systemic government issue on whether or not the folks that run the archive that are keeping track of this stuff is doing their job. But I did read an article on CNN, which really called out Biden and said this is the first major chink in the good guy Joe Biden armor. Republicans are going to seize on that, plus the laptop stuff, plus everything else. How serious of an issue is this for Biden, in your opinion? On just the documents. Not about Biden and the laptop and all that stuff, but just about the classified documents.
Yeah. Ultimately, I don't think it's that big of an issue.
No,
I don't believe so. He's got enough protectorate kind of people covering his back. Seeing what the Department of Justice did with regards to this whole issue, keeping it secret, they're going to cover his back from top to bottom on this issue. You know what? And frankly, I mean, whatever, right? Here's the thing. Of the 3 people that have found the classified documents in their possession, only one of them had the ability to declassify anything they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually President Trump, right? Joe Biden was vice president when he took those documents.
Yep.
He didn't have the ability to. But Mike Pence, vice president when he took those documents.
Joe Biden, vice president.
Joe Biden was vice president when he took those documents. So really, and it's funny to me listening to all the pundits on the media talk about how, well, Trump didn't cooperate. Well, Trump's the only one that actually has a valid defense.
Yeah.
So it's...
And on top of that, how did he not cooperate?
Exactly.
He never denied he didn't have them.
Right.
I mean, he always was honest that he had them.
Right.
The issue was whether or not he was supposed to turn them back over. And I don't believe that was a decision for the FBI or the Department of Justice to make. It was a decision that a court needed to rule on.
Yep.
All right, let's wrap this up. Dennis, do you have any parting shots? Shots to part with? Parts to shot with?
I received a message and I
Farts
was
to shot
asked to
with?
send this out to people that send us mail. One moment.
I'm afraid now.
You should be afraid.
Be very afraid. The fly.
Courtesy of DT. That's who's asked me to send this out. So,
Did I hurt your feelings? Slap a bitch sticker on it.
Cooperate for kids.
Love that.
That's funny. Where's that from anyway? Is that from a movie or something?
No, that's from DT.
That's Debbie. That's actually Debbie.
Oh, that's her own voice?
Yeah, play it again,
Oh,
Dennis.
why
Play it
didn't we
again.
ever do any voiceover stuff? That's funny.
Play it again.
Did I hurt your feelings? Slap a bitch sticker on it.
Giggity. Giggity.
All right, Dennis, any other shots?
Giggity, giggity, goo.
I'm done.
I just every time I hear that, I'm gonna say, you know who I have a picture of in my head. Every time I hear that, can anybody guess who I can play that one more time?
Wow. I switched the page.
Oh, that's okay then. Don't worry about it.
Giggity, giggity, goo.
Yeah, Pete Bukkake. That's who I'm
Really?
picturing.
I hear
wow.
I hear Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I don't know. Giggity giggity goo does have an interesting connotation
I'm
to
just,
Bukkake, doesn't it?
I'm just saying. Every time you guys hear that, I want you to think of our transportation secretary himself
and future president
Pete breastfeeding Bukkake.
I believe that Pete Buttigieg is going to be president. I at some point, I think he's going to be president.
Will we then take a moment to appreciate the fact that gay man is president?
Sure.
Just one moment.
Just one
Well,
moment.
remember what I said? This is not like a month long. We're on Facebook. It's not a month long fucking parade. It's hey, let's acknowledge it. This is a monumental thing. Let's take a picture. Let's whatever. You can light up rainbows in the front house yard for a couple hours. I don't care. And then you move on and do your normal business with normal diligence. It's not.
Folks, Paul has been elected to the regional dog catcher role. Let's take a moment and acknowledge his socks are matching.
Yeah. Listen. The best thing about having a gay president is they know how to. He would look fabulous. Anyway,
wow.
Boss Baby, do you have any parting shots?
Is Mr. President and the first man.
What would you call him?
The
Would it be
first
the first
man.
man?
The first gentleman, yeah.
First gentleman. Yeah.
First gentleman.
First
Yep.
lady, first gentleman. Yeah. It'd just be kind of weird for our first gentleman to be the husband of a gay president. That'd be weird.
Well,
But
like
no,
you
but
said,
listen.
he'd be the first person with a tattoo in the Oval Office that says exit only.
Listen, when John Kennedy got elected, it was talked about briefly that he was the first Catholic in the to win the White House.
Yep.
And it was not a major press. It did not go on forever, but it was an acknowledgement that he was the first Catholic in the White House.
Yeah.
That's what I think all this stuff needs to be. Okay, Kamala Harris, cool. You're the first Indian American, African American idiot to serve as vice president. Congratulations. We've acknowledged it. You can have a postage stamp later. Congratulations.
Are we on Facebook?
Yes.
So you should add to that the first. How many times are you on your knees to work your way up?
Hold on.
What?
Hold
She
on.
did it. She
I
freely
don't-
admitted it.
I don't care because
What?
a
What?
lot of men.
What?
A lot of men allowed
Sleep
her
their way to the top.
A lot of men gave her that. Listen,
They
you
gave her
can't-
what?
Upped her.
You can't
for doing it.
hold her accountable for it without acknowledging the fact that a lot of men use their position of authority over
Yeah.
her to basically say, "Hey, you suck my dick, I'll give you a promotion."
Well, we don't know that that's what happened, Kevin.
But we believe that's what
Well,
happened, and those are the accusations
we-
that have been made.
I mean, it was Willie Brown, right? The mayor of San Francisco.
No,
Just,
again,
I don't know.
I'm not ignoring what she did, but let's acknowledge that men in power gave her that opportunity, and she does. I hate the fact that we're going to blast her for it and ignore them.
It may have just been one man. I don't know.
I don't think it was. I think she got around.
Wow, it's a hell of an accusation.
I don't care.
Although it explains why.
Hey, come on! If you disagree,
1-800-1400.
If you call right now, Kamala Harris, we'll stay on for a little bit longer. Otherwise,
do you notice?
Otherwise, we're fucking done. Lori, do you have party
notice?
shots?
Do you notice that every time there's a shot of the White House or the president and the vice president, that Jill Biden's always standing between her and Joe?
Do you know what that is?
No.
You know what? I'll
What
tell
are
you
you
exactly
gonna
why
say?
that is. Because he's forgetful and stupid, and he might grab the wrong ass. That's what I'm
Or
thinking.
smell the wrong hair.
Or smell the wrong hair. That's what I believe, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, Lori, do you have parting shots? I'm
do.
multitasking, by
I
the
do.
way. So
Yes,
we
I
do
see
this.
that.
You can't multitask.
I see that. Anyways, shout out to the Tenino residents against Supreme Living. They've been doing some great work. And
Why do you not want to live supremely? Go ahead. Sorry.
against residents of McNeil Island being I don't even know how to say
Put
it.
in their community.
Yeah.
Oh,
5.
the sexual predators being put in their
Yes.
community. Oh, they're
Without-
stopping it.
Well,
They're trying to.
they're working hard with Travis Couture, Dan Griffey, a couple other people, and so far things are not 100% because February 1st the first resident was supposed to move in. So right now things are up in the air.
I would like to talk to Travis and Dan and ask
Yeah.
them, if you don't want those people being there, and I get that, where are they going to go instead?
Well, they are housed at McNeil Island.
Yes, but they're going to shut that all down, right? That's the idea. They're moving the last of the sexual predators off the island.
Federal government owns the land.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Washington State leases it. So we're not exactly sure on all the particulars
Okay.
about McNeil.
Now, when you say we, do you
Tom and I spoke in depthly about
Okay.
this a couple weeks ago. Yeah, a lot of research.
Did you
But
get a chance to
there's-
go on air and talk about it?
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Okay.
And
we
Travis
talked to
called
Travis.
in.
Okay,
Travis called in. So now a lot has changed since that night. So thank you, Heidi Haas, for updating me just now.
Okay.
And there's more to come. So hopefully we'll have more information.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to bring up is on it's either Monday or Tuesday of this week, and I apologize, I can't remember all the names involved, but the sentencing for the young lady who killed the other young lady is this week. And I was unable to get a
Sayana.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Sayana. I was unable to get in to
The courtroom?
Yeah, to be at the sentencing. So security will be tight.
I'm sure.
I know this won't bring the closure that's needed for all sides, but hopefully this can end. I don't even know how to describe it. Animosity.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best
Yeah.
way you could have said it.
So
Okay.
those are my parting shots.
I think
Big week.
when is so the sentencing's this week, so I think next Sunday
Yes.
we will certainly wind up talking about it because
Mhm.
I think the sentence received will be a talking point regardless.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about the murder of a young life, but you're also
Yes.
talking about the impact of the perpetrator being a young life as well. I think it'll be an
Yeah.
interesting conversation to have.
And I think the really biggest impact that really isn't being talked about are the two little children
Yeah.
on both, one on each side who are impacted by this.
Yeah, both kids lost a mom.
Yeah.
I mean, one directly and one
Yeah.
you're going to be visiting her through glass.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Isaac, parting shot. Anything you want to say? Silverback?
You know he wants to. Look at that look on his face.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Silverback. We appreciate that.
It's a man of few words.
Tom, parting shots.
Carry a big stick.
Not this evening. I'll have something. I'll have something to follow up with. Our Port Orchard or our Town Square nights. I'll have details here soon.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
good.
We're still having singles night?
Yeah.
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 All right. I'm going to show up for that.
You should.
I am. I'm going to wear my formal thong.
Yeah.
And,
February 18th.
Yeah. I'm going to wear my formal thong.
Yeah.
And
Middle of winter, Kevin, show up in your thong. That's
right.
good.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Be a little bit nipply out.
Yeah, but banana hammock. We prefer banana hammock around here.
Okay, just as long as I got the flossing thing going up my butt crack, I'll be happy.
The nipples were bad enough. If I have to witness one of your ass cheeks hanging out anywhere, it is not expected to be.
Paul,
there will be hell to pay.
You
Paul, what month is your birthday again?
It don't matter.
What month is your birthday? April? March.
No, my birthday's in March. Yeah,
March.
I'm just
so when we do the Outlaw Radio Network calendar, the picture for March should just be you and I with bare asses out. That's what it should be for Paul's birthday.
We'll do it in our Outlaw banana hammock.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Now
Kevin
remember,
won't show
if
up
you're
for the
wearing a
photo
banana
shoot.
hammock and it's February,
Yeah.
remember Seinfeld?
Yeah,
It was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. Party.
I mean, you've already complained about that for shriveling up, man. Yeah, what do you think's going to happen? You wear that in February, man.
Paul, parting shots.
Well, I thought that was a parting shot, but no, I'm relatively good to go.
Okay.
Although I don't like to say things and interrupt you. It's really rude, and I shouldn't ever do it. So I'll try to stop.
Okay. My
but are
parting
you
shot-
done
you're
tonight?
gonna do that. my parting shot really quickly. I want to thank the South Kitsap High School Band Boosters Association for having me out to their event last night. I was an auctioneer for the first time in my life. That's never happened before. Nobody threw anything at me, so I appreciate it. I think I had it down by the time I got to the end, but I'll probably never be asked to do it again. But it was great fun. They did a great event, made a whole lot of money for the South Kitsap band as they're trying to head to Hawaii to go play for some veterans. I don't really understand the trip that they're doing, but it's a veterans oriented trip. So more power to them. That'll be awesome. And
I'll be a chaperone.
Oh, call them and let them know.
Go to Hawaii.
Yeah. But again, thanks to them for having me out. It was an honor to be a part of it, and I love doing that. If you have a nonprofit group and you need a volunteer to do any mic work or whatever, I'll volunteer for any nonprofit to do it.
Did you get your rolling cadence going as an auctioneer?
No, because they didn't want me to try to be too fast.
Oh, okay.
Most of the people that were there were not professional auction goers. You know what I mean?
Okay,
They were the parents of kids, so they didn't want anybody. They didn't want that.
Oh, okay.
So we kept it moving, and I got pretty good towards the end. I think on a kind of a normal cadence, but it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was fun to be out there. So the only other parting shot that I have is I want to just thank Paul for coming back. There was a lot of wagers in studio whether or not Paul would ever grace us with his presence again. If maybe he got out of the show for a little bit, he realized how much better life was, or even more importantly, his wife might realize how much time he could spend at home, and then she'd probably kick him back to the show right away. So
she asked me to stay home tonight.
We're just glad you're back, Paul. We missed you, and I'm glad you're wearing pants.
Well, I missed you guys too. So, I'm happy to be back. I did have one really important topic I wanted to come up with a little bit of time here.
Good night, everybody. We
Good night.
appreciate you. We love you. This is the Outlaw Radio Network. We'll see you Wednesday night at 7 p.m.